My father used to say, "Watch this man."
He's been cited by IGN, The Quartering, Timcast, The Daily Wire, Bounding into Comics, and even Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
As the insider WDW Pro recently speculated on.
Time and time again, he's broken big entertainment news live on the air.
I've been following WDW Pro and his track record for years. If you want to find out what's on the horizon for theme parks, Pro is where you go.
Morty, let's check in on Rian Johnson's new trilogy.
Okay.
I bypassed the compressor.
What did you do, Ray? Son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
Now, he was okay, after 6-7 weeks. Okay? They get over it. Kids are resilient like that.
Yeah.
I hate it.
It's the standard, what would George do?
I don't want you here.
So sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Blimey, you fools.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Weird. Stay away from liquor, kids.
I have always liked Cowabunga.
Now that's more like it, Mr. Wayne.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
The Force will be with you, always.
That's how winning is done.
I am vengeance. I am the night.
That's what she said.
I am Batman.
If I won tonight, I would come home and we'd celebrate. Well, I'm coming home, we're celebrating. God bless you all.
Watch your habits, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. What we think, we become.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just 2 minutes, the lighting at the Magic Kingdom will dim for the performance of the Pro Show. We hope you enjoy and have a magical, truthful time. For the safety of others, please, no flash photography. And welcome to Provision 3D.
Alright, everyone, put on your coffee glasses. Oh boy,
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
You know that you've been taught the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yes, Paul.
Autobots, roll out.
I'm bringing the party to you.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money?
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
We're gonna do it!
Leroy Dragon! Alright, it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man!
Are you okay?
They'll never take our freedom!
From the redwoods of California to the hills of Tennessee to the Rockies in the Sunshine State and Maine with that bright and shining sea. From coast to coast in North America, it's time for your host with the most, bringing you all the entertainment news that should be fun. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the WDW Pro Show! Hello, howdy, and how are you folks? If you're in the Sunshine State, well, you're not feeling very sunny right now, but we are here to put a little daylight back into your evening and hopefully help you weather this storm. Folks, it's a bad one over on the west coast of Florida right now, and it is unfortunately going to get worse. We're going to be covering this as the hurricane makes its way through the very center of the tourism heartbeat that is Florida. Lauren, you're not Jonas. What's going on here? What are you doing here, Lauren?
I'm just filling in until the man can take his seat.
Well. Jonas is running late. No, folks, we kid. Jonas will be here, and we knew that Jonas was not going to be here at the beginning. Lauren, there's a funny thing that happened before the show today, and that is my wife said, "Oh, good, you don't have to do Agatha. You get a week off." And I said, "Yeah, too bad it took a hurricane to do it." So, Lauren, we're off the hook for covering Agatha, but we are on the hook for covering weather in a way that is becoming of a channel such as this. Lauren, are you ready for what we've got to do tonight?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, in that case, we shall get started. Before we bring on our fine panelists, let's run through some of these super chats that are beginning. And folks, also, we want to say a huge thank you tonight to a brand new channel on my radar. They're not brand new, but Park Pass TV is going to be giving us some live feeds straight into Epcot itself. We'll show you this right now, folks. Take a look. Spaceship Earth in all of its glory lit up, and they are even running the strobe lights over there as the hurricane is now approaching. So thank you again to Park Pass TV. We'll have this up. We've got other live cams ready to go to give you all the coverage you need, including cameras, by the way, on the west coast of Florida as that eye closes in. All right, well, let's go, Lauren, to these super chats right now, and we shall get them the due they are in need of. All right, folks, here we go. Sorry for being slow, but without Jonas, sometimes it happens. From Sutton Creek Productions, 1 WDW Pro membership, and we are so thankful for you, Sutton Creek. Thank you, so kind. Chipmunk of Vengeance for €10. The approaching hurricane in Florida is deeply concerning, even from where I am in the UK. While I'm not religious, so I'll say this: may the force be with you all. Above all, stay safe out there. And by the way, Chipmunk of Vengeance, we at least can agree on this. Let's hope that nobody's depending on the thread tonight. It's not coming to save you. Packing protons for 5. Supposedly tornadoes in Port St. Lucie. Stay safe. And yes, we have seen actually, and we may get to that later in the program, we've seen some tornadoes on the ground. We do not have any information about tornadoes currently on the ground, but there have been tornadoes, and we do anticipate that the hurricane will spawn more. Very unfortunate. It's no fun to have two different disastrous weather phenomena occurring at the same time, but that is what happens in Florida during these situations. Thank goodness we do not expect volcanic activity. Samuel Main has gifted a WDW Pro membership, and we are so thankful for you. Sutton Creek is back with 5 more. How kind can one be? Thank you, Sutton Creek. We've also got from GJJ, member for 3 months. Hello, all. Well, hello right back to you, GJJ. Happy to have you in the audience tonight. From Aaron Quillis for 5 Pro. I'm in northern Manatee County, Florida. Thanks for the entertainment through the night. Well, we're here for you. We want you to stay safe, folks. For the vast majority of Florida, actually, tonight, it's kind of a scary one. And we expect widespread power outages. It's going to be a real deal when it comes to what this storm might be. You've probably heard this called already the storm of the century. We are not going to do that. We would rather wait and see what happens. And our hope is that things go as well as they possibly can for human life and for prosperity. That's our hope. We're not wishing for huge destruction or anything like that. Clive Griffiths gifted 5 WDW Pro memberships. Thank you so much for that. We also have Cliffix for $10. And Cliffix says, just ordered my Pro Cap. Can't wait to wear it on video in Disney Tokyo this month, riding Splash Mountain. Oh, we have got to see that video when it happens. By the way, Cliff, if you'll check out the Pro Store, I'm not saying you have to buy it, but the shirt, Bring Back the Splash, is also there. Folks, if you want to do that, they love it if you wear that in Magic Kingdom and whistle zippity-doo-dah at the same time. And we've got Is Tiana's Bayou working during the hurricane from Jagar. Member for 7 months. Jagar, that would be ironic since it does not seem to work in perfect weather conditions. So perhaps it's operating at this very moment. Folks, we can't hardly operate, not for a moment, without our panel, and we need to bring them on right now. Folks, please welcome the furriest and wettiest kind of person there can be tonight. He's Marvin the Movie Monster. Marvin.
Oh, hello, gentlemen. I am still here. I'm still in one place. I have not blown away on the winds of chance yet.
Well, you know, Marvin, with all the hair you have, you could do like those the doggies that put their heads out the window, you know, and fill the air and get the rush, and you could have a very cool hairstyle.
This is very true. I like to think I already have a very cool hairstyle. Thank you very much, but I'll take it into consideration.
Now I feel as if I have offended you. I am so sorry, Marvin.
Slightly. I'm a little hurt. I thought my hair was one of the things you admired.
He's got a bald spot on the back. That's why you never see him turn around.
Stop it, Lauren. That was told to you in confidence.
Folks, someone we would never, ever, ever offend because she is purely spectacular at what she does, and what she does is covering the theme parks. Please welcome to the show, Lorena Creole. Lorena, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And folks, as we get ready to welcome in our next guest, again, reminder, we've got a live feed right here, courtesy of Park Pass TV. They're doing a fantastic job of giving us a view into Epcot and Spaceship Earth. And you can see the strobe lights. They're still strobing over there. All of that is run by computers and timing. And so excellent job by them. Please welcome in, though, our next guest. He is a master of the language. He is a master of Hollywood, despite the fact they wish he was not. He has decades of excellence in the can. He is LW Ghost.
Thank you. I don't know about excellence in the can. We'll find out as the week continues.
How much fiber are you eating, Lou?
But and to let everybody in on the joke, nothing sacred here. I'm having some medical procedures later this week that will prove that or not. But you know, it's nice to have something in common with Lorena, even more than we do as lovers of this whole program. I see she's kind of long in tooth with the fangs, and I'm long in tooth with age. So there you go.
Uh-oh.
Yes, it is.
Long in tooth and long in age.
Just didn't want you to think we hadn't noticed your Halloween prep.
Oh, so. I couldn't slide that in there. Okay. Yeah, it's the spooky season in honor of my favorite monster film, which would be Dracula. So.
Oh. Wow. I'm just getting insulted left and right tonight, apparently.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you expect you were going to be the most popular monster here?
Yeah, I kind of did. But, you know, it's all right.
You know, these things happen. Folks, we're going to be doing coverage of the hurricane and its impacts all over Florida. And you can see right now, folks, we are looking at major storm impacts in Fort Myers. We also have cameras on Clearwater right now. And these are being brought to you via our great source of Florida Today. So Florida Today is bringing this to us. We do anticipate that Hurricane Milton will very soon, and we're talking not necessarily into tomorrow, but in the next few hours, we do anticipate that we'll be able to announce during the stream that the eye of the storm has passed through, and we expect it to be at Sarasota, Florida. One of our guests that we've had on the show before lives in Sarasota, and so we're wishing him and his family very well. We also anticipate that the hurricane will then make its way right across the turnpike, and it will actually cross over very close to the theme parks just south of Orlando and make its way out of the Florida Peninsula. One of the very odd things about this hurricane also is that we anticipate that it shall cross the entire peninsula as a hurricane. In other words, it will enter as a hurricane, it will exit as a hurricane. Category 3 on the way in, Category 1 on the way out back to sea.
one of the rougher parts of this hurricane as well is that because it's going to maintain those wind speeds to be categorized as a hurricane, as it crosses through, winds are going to be traveling in one particular direction, and then they're going to kind of shift as the eye makes its way past. And for some, that can create more damage because there'll be wind coming one way and then another, which can damage structural integrity on some items. So we hope that everything goes very, very well for everybody out there tonight, but we are ready to cover it should things change. All right, well,
and by the way, when you talk about it coming in as a 3 and leaving as a 1, anybody out there wondering what happens to those 2 that disappeared is they fall on the people under them. So be careful.
Absolutely. We want to give everybody an idea of what it was like at the parks today. So we're going to go to blogmickey.com for that, and we'll let you hear what it was like in Magic Kingdom today as they prepared to close down. And then that will lead us into our very first story as we cover this hurricane better perhaps than even the Weather Channel. No, we kid. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Unfortunately, due to impending inclement weather, the Magic Kingdom Park will close today at 2 p.m. Once again, due to impending inclement weather, the Magic Kingdom Park will close today at 2 p.m. We apologize for the inconvenience and hope you enjoy the rest of your day at the Magic Kingdom.
All right, so that is again brought to us by Blog Mickey. We want to thank them for doing such a fantastic job of their coverage. As we're watching this, though, panel, I want to bring to your attention something that I think is that Disney World and Universal Studios made the decision to keep their cast members inside the parks until 2 p.m. if you're working at the Magic Kingdom and some other theme parks, as well as Disney Springs. And that's because they let guests in today, and those guests stayed until 2 p.m. As you can see, there were a few guests there. Ponchos necessary. The problem with this, of course, is that then cast members don't get to leave just immediately as soon as the guests do. And guests don't always leave exactly at closing, although I am sure they were promptly pushed out. But I'm thinking that cast members, especially at Magic Kingdom, because of how long it takes to leave, some of these people were put getting back to their homes very late. And many of these cast members, by the way, may live in Osceola County, which is one of the counties in which Walt Disney World exists. Osceola County had a mandatory stay-in-place, shelter-in-place order from the government starting at 8 p.m. Well, that's only a 6-hour difference between when Disney sent guests home and when there was a mandatory government-ordered shelter-in-place put in place. And so to me, that's a real problem that Disney put it this close, and Universal Studios. Neither company gets off the hook here. I'm worried that Disney made this decision to try to salvage their stock for the month of October because theme park attendance has been drastically down. And so they were wanting to get one more day before they have to close. And I think this was a very poor decision. I want to go to Lorena first. Lorena, what do you think about this idea that the theme parks did not consider their cast members and employees and just say, you know what, we're not going to be open on Wednesday because these people need to take care of their homes, their families, and do the things they need to do in preparation for the hurricane?
I think it's an extremely bad look. Just to preface this with, I've spent actually 2 hurricanes at Walt Disney World, and there wasn't a mandatory shelter in place or anything at the time. So the parks were open pretty much as usual. But with a storm like this, and especially when you talk about the cast, a good percentage of the cast members living in Osceola County, a lot of cast members live in Kissimmee, and Kissimmee is in Osceola County. And like you were saying, when the park closes, people don't leave right away. Usually they'll stay there up until they get kicked out, which I think it's like an hour and a half that transportation will be open. By the time everything's secured and the cast members do what they have to do, not to mention a lot of the roadways are clogged way more than they normally would be. Even with the governor putting making all the tolls free and everything. But if you have to go on 192 from the parks to where you live, that road's like mobbed. So I think it's a really bad a really bad look, considering how many things were closed today, how many retail shops and everything were closed today. They really just should have been closed completely today.
Absolutely. Folks, we're going to bring on another panelist who is, well, you'll clearly see that he is dealing with the weather in just a moment. But folks, as we get ready to bring that panelist on, I do want to apologize. There may be times during this live stream that we do have some audio or graphics issues. And given what's going on the East Coast, you can understand why some of those issues may arise depending on who it is and all of that. So we just do apologize if you have any audio issues that you're listening to. Stick with us and we'll get through those. But folks, let's bring on right now to the panel Ron E. Bradley. And Ron, just for the purposes of people to see what's going on, I'm going to full screen you. Is that okay?
And I'll see if I can put my camera. I'm in Orlando. I'm about 20 minutes from Disney World. It is, you can see with my hair, it's just blowing viciously. You can hear the wind. Let me see if I can turn my camera around to
Oh, wow. That's a great shot, Ron. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's so, folks, this is about 20 minutes away from Walt Disney World Resort and Universal Studios, SeaWorld, and so much of the tourism that's so important to Central Florida and Florida, well, really the United States at this point. I mean, this is the nation's playground. Ron, as you've got the camera showing us what you're seeing, one of the things that we've been talking about has been the fact that Disney and Universal Studios did not close their parks until 2 p.m. today. That meant that cast members and workers did not get to go home to their families often until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or later. There was a mandatory shelter in place put in place by Osceola County at 8 p.m. Some of these folks had to rush home to meet the government demand that they lock the doors and hide in place from the hurricane. Ron, what do you make of the idea that these companies may have really screwed this up by not giving their employees more time to prepare? We'll see if Ron.
SeaWorld closed. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, SeaWorld closed all day today. Gatorland closed all day today. There's no reason for Universal or Disney to have been open at all, in my opinion. I have a lot of friends that are cast members. I saw a lot of Facebook posts going, I can't believe I have to work today. I have to work till 3, and I'm supposed to be sheltered in place at 3. A lot of things like that. It was, I don't think, wise on the part of Disney, especially the way the storm is tracking and wobbling and very unpredictable. There is a certain level of predictability, and there's a lot of unpredictability. As you can see right now, the winds are picking up, and there's no control over that. I will be getting myself inside, but it's fairly safe where I am right now. The winds are maybe 20, 25 miles an hour. But they will pick up a lot over the next few hours here.
So we anticipate that those winds are going to approximately triple over the next hours, and that's very unfortunate that that's going to happen. Ron, we'll come back to your feet in just a moment. We want you to get back inside where you can be what should we say, free from the rain for a little bit. We'll let you get unsogified. Marvin, you could maybe tell us when did you notice the weather really making a turn in Orlando? We're nowhere close to the worst of it, but give us an idea of, on the cast members and the employees, how long did they have from the time they left at 3 or 4 o'clock until things started looking much less pleasant?
Well, I mean, the rain has been pretty steady all day where I am, and that's about 45 minutes away from the parks area. And yeah, around the afternoon was when it started to kick into high gear. It was when you could start hearing it just by being inside the house, banging, slapping against the window or whatnot. The fact that they were, and the other thing that you have to point out for these poor people that had to go to work today, gasoline right now is very scarce around these parts. If you are so you have to have a full tank of gas in order to be able to survive the coming week. And these people, a lot of them had to commute to work and commute back, and there was no gas to refill up their tanks. So, Disney has really put its employees at a huge disadvantage right now when it comes to dealing with the aftermath of this hurricane as well.
Absolutely. And folks, we've got another look here at Epcot. You're looking directly at Spaceship Earth from the boardwalk, and we want to thank again Park Pass TV for providing this, and they're doing a phenomenal job with providing coverage of Disney. And we can see that the weather has definitely deteriorated even since we began 15 minutes ago. One of the things that's going to be very interesting to watch in a little while, for those of you who are Disney World nerds, we're going to be watching to see. I don't anticipate that we're going to see any pyro at all, but we will be watching to see, does Spaceship Earth do its computer-timed transformations for the fireworks show that is always scheduled at 9 p.m., or will it just continue to do its typical colors? Now, some people out there may be shocked to see that Spaceship Earth is featuring its lighting package tonight, but folks, all of that, again, is computerized, and there's just not many people who are in the parks. I would anticipate that there are very few even security guards tonight watching over the parks. This is going to be the ride-through cast members only, and most of those individuals are either sheltered in very secure interiors, or they're in hotel rooms waiting for this to pass. So almost nobody in the parks, almost all the stuff going on in the parks right now would be running on automated systems, including the Spaceship Earth lighting package. All right, Lauren, any thoughts on that? You folks out there may not know what you specialize in and what you do for a day job, but your thoughts on how these systems work when there's nobody really behind the helm?
Well, it's like any other kind of an automated system. Once it's set up, and presuming that nothing has been tampered with, it should just go. But I mean, the real question here is, how secure are the lights and everything? I imagine there's probably some damage that could be sustained there, but I also imagine if that happens, it's probably easily replaceable once things die down and you start getting infrastructure back into place.
Absolutely. And I would say too, if the lights go out, well, the lights are going to be there physically anyway. The only thing that sort of surprises me, and it looks like we've temporarily lost Ron. Hopefully we'll get him back soon. The only thing that sort of surprises me on having the lighting packages going on the parks is that it would indicate if there's damage that is done, and you would think that Disney would not want that to be visible. So a little bit surprising there. Lorraine, are you at all surprised at running lighting packages? We may not have Lorraine at the moment. Marvin, your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'd muted the wrong thing. No, I'm not surprised, and here's the reason why. Last week, I did a live stream from Epcot, and it was pouring down rain exactly as it is now, and the fireworks show went off. The fireworks show kept going. The lights on the Geosphere over here kept going. They didn't change it at all. So no, I'm not surprised.
I'll give you one better, Pro. For years and years and years, the music and the lights were still automatically working at River Country when it was closed and desolate. It was like you see some of those urban explorers going.
It was actually creepy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
people would try to get close. Music. Yes. Oh, that's a great point. That is a great point, Marvin. Now, Discovery Island, not the same, and we don't recommend anyone try to go find their way onto Discovery Island. No. Nor do we recommend that anyone do their behind-the-scenes theme park trekking on a night such as this. That would be an especially awful idea. Lou, talk to us a little bit about what you think in terms of Disney's preparations for the hurricane. We've talked about the cast members and their need to get home, but how well do you think Disney's prepared for this one? It's one of the first times we've ever seen the parks actually possibly taking a direct hit from a hurricane.
Well, the first question you have to ask, you mentioned earlier that they might have decided to stay open for the half day today to try and offset the financial losses of what's going to happen over the next few. That's bad management. First of all, if you have to have an excuse for why you didn't have a great quarter, this is swell. Well, we had a hurricane is a lot better than it's too hot in summer for people to go to theme parks, right?
Absolutely.
So I think, in other words, I think that's baked into the cake as far as the financials are concerned. But secondly, this thing today of calling people in for the half day or whatever it turns out to be, that's really foolish. That's really all the reasons that you've given already about their safety and concern. If they're staffed for a full day, because if we follow the same logic of, well, it's automatic like the lights, there couldn't have been that many people going today. Could there? It's got to have
Well,
been,
and also-
even in a time when they've been having a lot of off days, a particularly low cast count or
Also, Lou,
audience count.
I'm wondering what they did. Like, did they charge all those people that went today for a full day at the
Oh,
Magic
sure.
Kingdom?
Oh, sure.
Of course.
And if they were,
Yeah.
but it works both ways. If I were a guest who got charged full and then told, "Oh, go home at 2:00," I'd be upset. But I would say to them back, "You mean you really thought everything was going to be as normal when you and everybody in the world knows this storm is bearing down on us?" So that works both ways, also. But as far as the automation of the lights and shows and things and sound effects, as I've told a few times, back in the days before Fantasmic, at Disneyland, you used to be able to ask the ride folks on the Mark Twain, "What time is the fireworks cruise?" And they would give you a particular departure time to be there for. The Twain back into the back of the river over by the Indian village and stop. And they would pipe in the soundtrack of the fireworks show. And you'd be right there, just the other side of some trees from where it's launched off, and get an entirely different perspective and hear the music and enjoy it. But they didn't turn the Indian village off. And while you were sitting there waiting, there they were dancing up a storm, and the chanting, when you heard it all by itself outside of the context of I'm going by quick on the boat, but just sitting there, it sounded like they were saying, "Go away, go away, go away." And everybody always used to crack up about that. But it ran, and I doubt they ever turned
Absolutely.
it off all night long
Okay.
because it was easier to set it and forget it. So,
well, let's break in at this moment because we do have some breaking news, folks. Here we go. All right, folks, and it turns out that we can say now officially that Hurricane Milton, the eye wall has now made landfall officially, and let's get that news for you right here. Out of Yahoo News, Hurricane Milton live tracker. The storm is packing maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour at this time. And our latest update says that Florida power outages have topped 540,000 customers. So we're at over 500,000 power outages as Hurricane Milton has now made its way on shore. It says here, Hurricane Milton was forecast to make landfall just south of the Tampa Bay region on the Florida coast within hours. The storm, currently at Category 3 with maximum sustained winds of around 120 miles an hour, was around 20 miles west-southwest of Sarasota, Florida, as of 8 p.m. The northern eye wall of Hurricane Milton is beginning to move onshore of the Florida Gulf Coast near Tampa and St. Pete with an extreme wind warning now in effect. Please shelter in place as these extremely dangerous hurricane-force winds overspread the region. We've also got this out of Fox News. Category 3 Hurricane Milton bears down on Florida, and they say Hurricane Milton's northern eye wall is moving on shore. The National Hurricane Center in Miami warned early Wednesday evening that the northern eye wall of Hurricane Milton had started to spread on shore along the Florida coast. Sarasota police no longer patrolling as Florida waits for Hurricane Milton to make landfall. So the police now also sheltering. It says the Sarasota Police Department has stopped patrols as Florida waits for Hurricane Milton to make landfall. The department wrote on X that its last patrol vehicle returned to headquarters just before 5:40 p.m. So this has been a while now. DeSantis says it is now too late to evacuate safely ahead of Hurricane Milton. And that seems to be for everybody in Florida. That's all the way over to Daytona, where we expect this will create 3 to 5 feet of storm surge in a Daytona, by the way, which was heavily damaged previously by a hurricane with all kinds of storm surge that wiped out a lot of the seawall, wiped out a lot of the pools and access points to the beach. And so Daytona is going to get a double whammy now. But here's what we have for the statement. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis warned residents late Wednesday that it is now too dangerous to evacuate safely as Hurricane Milton was expected to make landfall within hours, which we now believe it has. Stay inside and stay off the road. Stay put until the storm is passed. DeSantis reminded residents using a generator not to have it kept indoors. Make sure that you're using it safely. Do not run the generator inside your home. that can be fatal. Make sure it's outside the home at a safe distance from windows and doorways. If you see dangerous conditions, please report those to your local authorities so that they can help protect people and mitigate it. Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall late Wednesday evening, and folks, as we are saying now, it does appear that that has occurred. As you can see, the National Hurricane Center declaring that the northern eye wall has now moved on shore. So if you are in the Sarasota area listening, you would appear to be in the worst of it. Although, let us say that if you are in the actual eye itself, there may be a temporary easing of weather conditions. You should not take that as a time to go out and gawk and stare. No. Please do not do that. Please stay safe, everyone. So, Floridians on the panel. We'll start with Ron. Ron, you're back. Are you available to talk for a moment, Ron?
Yeah. I'm just watching as the rain blows nearly sideways, as you can see in the light there. So I'm just kind of looking at my neighborhood. The wind is coming in. My hair's getting in my face. The rains are coming in. It is strengthening here in Orlando. Obviously, it's hit bands, so we're getting bands. I would say, what are we, about 100 miles from the eye wall here right now? So the eye wall. Well, I don't know if we'll hit eye wall here. It's probably going to stay south of us, or at least a little bit south. But
it will stay south of you. That's going to be good for the amount of sustained wind that you will have in Orlando. It's not good in terms of the rain that you may receive, because the heaviest rain bands are going to be northeast of the eye.
Exactly. So I am going to join you from inside in just a moment.
Ron, as you give us coverage, though, it looks to me as if the rain is basically horizontal. Is that right? It's basically coming in horizontally?
It is coming in very few moments of where it's just going down right now, and now you can see it. It's blowing horizontal. The gusts are getting up to about 30 miles an hour now. But it is totally horizontal at the moment, as you can
Ron,
see.
Do you have a wind gauge of any kind where you can track this?
I don't right now in front of me, but I just knowing what it was earlier when it was about 12 miles an hour, it's up to about 20, 25, 30 with gusts of 30 right now.
You're saying it's easily double what it was when you had a measurement, right?
Yeah.
And about that rain, guys.
Look at the rain. It's crazy.
In the previous storm, before it hit landfall, 2.5 to 3 days before it hit landfall in Florida, my relatives in the Statesboro, Georgia, near Savannah, Georgia, were so drenched and completely inundated. One of them told me, and she works indoors, but there's different buildings on the complex where she works, and just going from one to the other with umbrellas that were blowing out all the time. She went through 3 changes of clothes in one day from being absolutely sopping 2.5 to 3 days ahead of the eye itself. So that amount of rain and the saturation in the ground that still exists from the previous storm that this is going to add to, it ain't over till it's over. And it may not be over for many days after the eye wall passes, because you'll have things collapsing from the weight of all that water.
Absolutely, and we definitely hope that everything stays as well as it can be. And right.
By the way, another member of the family, it drives one of these special trucks that dig the post holes to put the power poles back in after they blow down. They were camped out in Macon, Georgia, to cover that whole area for the last several weeks. And they just got word today, go home, get a clean set of clothes, rest up, because we're probably going to Florida for at least a month of post-hurricane rebuilding of power lines and things. So,
it seems to me that the storm is tracked a little more south than they were first reporting. Like originally it was said to be a direct hit right on Tampa. Like the center was going to blow right through Tampa. And now it looks like it's making landfall at Sarasota. It's a little bit south of Florida. So yeah, it definitely shifted a bit, I think, over the last day or so.
And that's a huge positive, unless you live south of Tampa, of course.
Yeah.
You're not enjoying this if you're in Sarasota. if you're in Fort Myers. But for the density of population and what could have happened had it went into Tampa Bay proper, well, may have managed to stay out of some of the worst of it.
What's interesting about following the path of these things in Florida, in most states, some of the prediction of where it's going to go has to do with the topography. Has to do with, well, there's this canyon here and that one there, and it'll get sucked this way. But Florida is so flat that doesn't apply. In fact, I would venture to say, if it hits a place like Tampa or Orlando, that the buildings have more effect on the direction on a micro level than the land does, because they howl up these canyons between the streets. So it's a unique place in so many good ways, but this is not one of them.
So now, if the projection there was accurate, we're looking at a Category 1 by the time it hits like Central Florida, like right in the center of the state.
Right, and we still anticipate that it will be a Category 1 as it goes through the very middle of the peninsula. This out of CNN, we are now over 600,000 homes and businesses in Florida without power. This just 5 minutes ago. CNN meteorologist Mary Gilbert with this one. Milton's damaging winds are cutting power to hundreds of thousands of Floridians. More than 600,000 homes and businesses in the state are without power, according to poweroutage.us. Outages will continue to climb as Milton tracks across the state as a hurricane overnight and its tropical storm force winds roar hundreds of miles from its center. Video in Florida from storm chasers at WX Chasing shows blue flashes, which appear to be transformers exploding, and an indicator of an imminent power outage. Now, if we take a look, folks, almost the entirety of these power outages are occurring down here around the St. Pete, Tampa Bay, Clearwater area up into Spring Hill. That's going to then make its way eastward as the hurricane does so. Of course, at this time, the hurricane is still a Category 3 hurricane that has now made its way inland. So the eye of the storm, as we reported just about 15 minutes ago, has made its way onto land, coming in just south of the Tampa Bay area, coming in around Sarasota. So prayers out for everybody in the Sarasota area. And trust me, folks, there's so much going on with this hurricane that even if you are within 100 miles of that, you want to be taking shelter and preparing and doing all of that. All right, well, let's go to the super chats while we have a chance, folks, and we'll get those up on the screen. Of course, for those of you just joining us, we've got about 865 of you. This, courtesy of Blog Mickey, is what was going on at Magic Kingdom today about 2 p.m. We'll play the audio once again for you to hear it. Again, this out of Blog Mickey.
Hello, everyone. Unfortunately, due to impending inclement weather, the Magic Kingdom Park will close today at 2 p.m. Once again, due to impending inclement weather, the Magic Kingdom Park will close today at 2 p.m.
All right, we'll let that play in the background as we bring up these super chats, folks, and we put the audience on the screen because we believe you mean to be there, and we think what you say matters. All right, super chat time, folks. The Wild Man of Yavin is here for 5. There was a kick streamer trying to live stream while on an air mattress with an umbrella while floating on the waves. Natural selection at work. Well, we wish whoever that was the best. I'll have to say, though, and let's see if we can maneuver us where we look a little bit better during these super chats. There we go. Look how dandy we are. Lauren, you look good at top of the totem pole. I'll say that they were taking on some betting website, some gambling website. They were betting whether or not this crazy guy on a boat out at sea was going to survive or not. So I don't know. It's a wacky world we live in where those kind of bets are happening.
And just so people don't think this is a Florida man only phenomenon, I remember during one of the terrible floods in Southern California, we have a thing in Los Angeles called the LA River. It's not really a river. It's a big culvert. I mean, there was a river there once, but it's entirely a concrete channel with various things to control the runoff from the city. And there was some idiot on a motorcycle trying to ride down that cavern of concrete in 7, 8, 10-foot water and got washed away and eventually killed. And the local news director, I think it was the CBS station, got fired because when he reran the helicopter footage of this guy, he put the song Riders in the Storm over it. And people felt, and I think rightly so, that was, the guy may be stupid, but he doesn't deserve that kind of ridicule when he's dying in front of you.
No.
I don't know what it is with human beings. but there's always somebody who says, "Hold my beer," and probably what it is they've had a few.
Well, I'll tell you this, sort of a similar story. If you ever want to see the density of some people's neurological prowess, go to the Grand Canyon at some of the touristy areas, and I'm telling you, there will be people often of an international flair taking selfies in locations where if they make one wrong move, it's going to be a very, very long trip to the end.
Oh, where some of that very, very many thousands of years old rock crumbles under them.
Yes,
and
yet
sliding away.
And every single day you go to the Grand Canyon, you will find it there. John G for 5. I must be becoming an old man. I now enjoy both based and weather-related coverage, and the combination of both is pure win in my book. John, as long as you're not yelling at kids to get off your lawn, you're okay for now. Be careful about that old thing. Nobody who tried it ever decided that they liked it.
Or survived it eventually.
Tom F., member for 5 months, says, hello from Titusville, Florida. We good over here still. And we hope that you are the whole evening and mourn. Hang in there, Tom. Flying blind on a rocket cycle for 5. Hope everyone is safe. And did Lorena have an incident at the dentist? Well, Lorena, that's a question for you. I cannot answer such a thing.
I wouldn't say incident, probably more like a special upgrade temporarily.
A seasonal dental fluctuation.
There you go.
She wants to talk about hurricanes. Samuel Main has gifted another membership, and we are so grateful for that. GJJ has gifted 5 wonderful WDW Pro memberships. Folks, we've had a lot of member-exclusive content over the last few days. Go check it out. Normally, we would play celebration clips. We're going to be a little careful about that tonight just because of the nature of what we are covering. Apologies there, folks. Red Tigress, member for 1 month. Cocoa, Florida here. So far, so good. Rain and Gutsy, I bet you meant Gusty, wins. Watch out for the Gutsy ones, though. They're even more icky. That's a bad joke. That's a really bad joke. Too Tired for 10. From Eastern North Carolina, I would like to say we understand the Floridians who chose to weather the storm. It's often impossible to get home after. Stay safe as you can and see you on the other side of the storm. Absolutely, we do understand it as well. But folks, if you take a look right now at Fort Myers, which is in the absolute middle of this right now, you can see that cam on the top left. We're amazed that the camera is still going, but that looks significant right now where that hurricane is coming in. That's a Cat 3 making landfall there. Not good. You would not want to be in that location right now. So at least for those who are in the way of significant storm surge, we hope you did get out because some of that storm surge is going to be unsurvivable. From JPS for 2, stay safe, Florida. You know, if you live in Florida, you just kind of know these things are going to happen too. It's kind of baked into the experience.
Yeah.
Adventure of the Sunshine State. Sort of like how Valiant Renegade there in Louisiana, he knows he's going to face every single day one ugly son of an alligator gar coming at him. It's part of the Cajun experience. Too Tired for 5. Carowinds didn't close for Helene, and we had tickets. I had insured them and got a refund that way. BGW last year did the same. All theme parks act like this. Guys, help me out. What is BGW? What's my acronym here?
Busch Gardens, Williamsburg.
That's exactly right. Good job, Lorena.
Oh, thank you.
Good job. Thank you, Too Tired. And we hope theme parks
I feel like
will,
Vanna should now flip letters over and give you
we hope theme parks will improve across the board after this one. It's a real learning opportunity. Will they learn? You know the answer. Going Shogi for $4.99. Iger and DeMauro safe and dry in California. They don't give 2 turkeys how their employees are doing. Going Shogi, I thought it was funny. There was somebody on X, somebody of some degree of prominence, who was saying they saw Bob Iger. He's at Disney World. He's on the balcony of da-da-da-da. And this was yesterday. And I thought, no. I can promise you, no. Liberty Hall's cat, the best feline on the web, has gifted a pro membership, and we're so thankful for that. Stone Racket has gifted 10 beautiful WDW Pro memberships, and folks, this would normally be when we celebrate. But because of what we're covering tonight, you all know that it would not be all right to do celebration streams when people may be losing their homes, losing their lives even. Just not the time for that. We do apologize, but we so appreciate those gifted memberships and hope people will tune in not only to the full-on panel, the full 40 minutes of Warwick Davis at the ICC Con recently that we captured, but also the Genre Guys, which just came out. Go check that out as soon as you can.
Woo.
Nolan Thunder member for 12 months. Please don't do that nightmare fuel emergency weather warning that used to play on TVs with the screeching during the show. We would never. Those things used to be more scary than the sirens. No wonder analog horror capitalized on it. And nice umbrella, Nolan. We like it very much. We've got Stone Racket with a member chat here. Thanks for this live stream, Pro, praying for Florida. Absolutely, so are we. And Bandit 711 for 2. Thank y'all for covering this. God bless y'all. Well, God bless you, Bandit, and we hope that you are staying high, dry, and safe. And we're wishing everybody out there the absolute best. All right, folks, we've got Ron back with us. We'll switch over here to this view for just a moment. We'll get that coverage coming back again real soon. But Ron, if you'll swap places with me. Ron, you've been outside. You're back inside now. Tell the folks out there, how's it looking in Orlando?
Well, I'm a little wet, of course. It is deteriorating very, very quickly. It deteriorated throughout the day, little by little by little. Now it's deteriorating quite fast as far as the weather is concerned. I think Lorena's not too far from me. The wind is blowing the rain sideways, as you can see from the footage. I just, I'm at the point where I don't particularly feel super safe out there right now. It's supposed to be, I don't know, maybe midnight, maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning before the worst of it gets here, which always is like the worst timing of when a hurricane can hit is like, I'm supposed to be sleeping. I'm not going to get sleep tonight. Where my family, we're all going to huddle up in the same room and probably try and watch a movie as long as we have electricity. Hopefully we don't lose electricity. But it's always there's always trepidation. There's a degree of fear, but there's also like you have to pray and have faith, because at this point in time, what can you do? We don't live by the coast. We know that the storm will diminish in strength as it moves inland, and we just have a lot of faith and a lot of prayers, and pray for everybody that's right in the path of this. I hope people have left. My wife was telling me something about somebody named Noah streaming out in a boat in Tampa earlier.
Yes, we've heard about it. We've got the video. I don't know that we're going to play it though, because it's so crazy, so insane. We don't want to encourage anyone to do something similar.
Don't do that. Be safe. Safety first, always.
His name is Noah. Did you say?
Yeah, supposedly this guy was saying,
How many animals did he
my
have
name
with
is
him
Noah.
out there in the boat? Yeah, how many animals were out there with him in the boat?
It's his gnome to storm.
Marvin the movie monster, you'll love this reference. Did you know that there is a cartoon named Milton, and it's Milton the monster, is a Frankenstein type monster.
I did not
so
know
the only
that.
the only Milton, I was trying to research it. I was trying to find thumbnail stuff. I was looking at Milton. I found Milton the monster. I don't know what year it was. It would look like a 1970s cartoon.
Well,
I
Ron,
just kept thinking Uncle Milton.
If you and Milton went on the Game Channel with your own show, it would be Milton Bradley. So
I figured that one out earlier too.
You would monopolize
this thing's
the
coming right for
conversation.
me because it wants to be Milton Bradley.
Well, guys, let me show you some of the dangers that are being faced in this hurricane, because it's not just the sustained winds. It's not just the flooding. This thing is bringing tornadoes with it. It's like a multiple catastrophe kind of situation.
Been bad.
Folks, here's the tornado that was located. Let's see. Where was this located? This was located, I've got the information on it. Palm Beach Gardens is where this one came down at.
And
So
let's
Palm
face
Beach-
it, if we just turned on the news tomorrow morning and saw that, wouldn't everybody think, oh, that must be Oklahoma? Or, it doesn't look like Florida, and you wouldn't expect it there. So,
Good point. But here's the hurricane in Palm Beach Gardens earlier today, folks, so you can see what happened.
That is absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, Florida does get tornadoes.
A lot. I get tornado warnings all the time. Look at
You
that.
also get them known as water spouts on the coast. Yeah. Bye-bye, roof.
Wow. Wow. And this is on the other side of the state.
Well, Palm Beach Gardens, that's, the other side towards Miami, the Atlantic side.
And folks, here's the aftermath of the tornado in Florida today.
Yeah.
Look at these poor people.
So no good. And this is part of the danger of the hurricane is that it can spawn these tornadoes. So it's wind upon wind. And we definitely hope.
It makes
there are
me
no
wonder,
tornadoes
bro,
tonight.
in some ways, aren't the upper echelon of parks like Universal and Disney more vulnerable in the sense that, okay, when they build the buildings for the attractions, they have to meet building codes. So the structure of the overall building, they know where they are, they build for it. But because the higher end parks have more decoration, more little filigrees and molded corners and added pieces to them to make them look so much better than your run-of-the-mill theme park. That's more things that can blow off, more things that can go loose over time, more things that are pretty hard to inspect until they prove their status by failing in a storm like this.
Well, we hope everything stays attached and is still standing. But I will say that we have never seen, to my knowledge, the eye of a hurricane come this close to the Disney parks in the past. So, Lorena, I know you're short on time. I wanted to ask you, before you go, have you ever heard of a hurricane coming this close to Orlando proper?
With the eye of the storm or hurricanes in general?
Well, we know that hurricanes pass over, but hurricanes are huge, and so often Orlando will be in the outer bands. But it's very, in my understanding, my memory, pretty darn rare for Disney World to actually get hurricane winds itself. Usually gets tropical storm winds, right?
Well, they did get them at least 2 years ago with Hurricane Ian when that came through. And I've been in many hurricanes in Florida over my lifetime. And Hurricane Ian was crazy. So I want to say that's probably the first
Was that the one
one.
where some of the facades at the studio came down?
Yes, on the Jurassic Park ride, yeah.
Yes.
So did let me ask this to the panel then. Has anyone been in the parks after Ian? Does anybody recall what kind of debris there was? I know they cleaned it up really quickly. It was like within 6 hours of opening, they'd pretty much cleaned it all up. But do you all remember what that was like?
Yeah, I was, and it wasn't. Everything was pretty much cleaned up. There wasn't a lot of visible damage. The only part that I know had visible damage was over at Universal, the Jurassic Park river ride. It had like a rip in the side of the building, but no real obvious damage to, especially to Magic Kingdom. I didn't see anything.
I remember there used to a bunch of trees came down in the pet cemetery at the Haunted Mansion a few years back during a hurricane, and that was,
I do remember that. Yeah,
that's why we now have the more unrestricted view of Thaddeus Toad's grave. There was also a lot of trees that came down on the trail of the Walt Disney World Railroad. I remember that same hurricane. I don't remember which one that was. I think it was back in like 2016 or so. But
no, I think you're exactly right. And folks, we're now getting information that the eye of the storm is completely over land now. So we're now hearing that the eye of Hurricane Milton has now completely made landfall. We had told you earlier in the show that the northern wall, that was about 8:15, had touched land. Now we're getting the full effect of the storm has hit Florida. So this is the most intense moment. This is the most intense part of what we're going to be experiencing. And prayers out to everybody in Sarasota, which is where this hurricane has fully reached. So Tampa Bay area, home to 3.3 million people, going to be dramatically impacted by this as well. And at this time, Hurricane Milton is still a Category 3 storm, despite being completely on land. That is the latest information we have. Lorena, I know you've got to head on out. Why don't you tell the folks out there before you go where they can find you? And let me make sure, do I have that right that you need to leave at this time?
Yes, I do. I'm going to try to pop in if you guys are still going. I have to go over to Dark Council, but if you guys are still going when they end, I will pop back over. As for what I have going on besides staying inside, ignoring the wind outside, nothing really planned. I'm trying to see what happens if the weather is okay, and if by some reason Disney decides to actually open, I may pop over there. But for the most part, just pretty much chilling this weekend.
All right, I've got reservations for Friday as well. We'll see if Disney opens. Right now, what we're watching, folks, and Lorena, as you prepare to say goodbye, it does appear perhaps that Spaceship Earth, it is. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
That is crazy.
Boom.
Spaceship Earth
At
is
9
doing
o'clock.
at 9 o'clock, just as scheduled. It is going through its nighttime light show. So Lorena, we'll talk to you soon. But
All right.
as you get ready to leave, Marvin, Ron, tell us about what we're watching here for folks who've never seen the new nighttime show at Epcot. Tell them it's without fireworks, but this is what it's actually playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is this happens during the big nighttime spectacular show at Epcot. It's kind of a multi-level experience. You've got the fireworks in the air. You got Spaceship Earth lighting up like this. You got the lights going off. Clearly no pyrotechnics going off tonight because they knew they were closing early beforehand. But if this had been a thing that had snuck up on them and they had to close early due to an emergency, those fireworks would be going off too if they had loaded them up for the night. So yeah,
right. So we anticipate they did not load the fireworks, and that's why
definitely not.
They don't have to worry about that.
Since they announced yesterday that they were closing early, there was no way those fireworks were loaded up. But yeah,
that makes you wonder. Even if they did open on Friday, makes you wonder if they would even have the fireworks show happen that night.
Well,
on Friday they probably will.
But considering they shut it down for wind, if they're worried about where the ashes and embers are going to land, depending on which way the wind is blowing normally, in this case where you really have no idea, I wonder if discretion would be the better part of not setting something on fire on the ground.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience I have, when I was working at the studios in the past, I did, in fact, get hit by firework debris coming down. So,
which
it's
part,
not
Ron?
bad.
Was that
It's like a
Magic
little
Kingdom?
piece of cardboard, but
was
yeah.
this Magic Kingdom? Yeah. So you got hit back in Fantasyland.
It was in Hollywood Studios when they were doing the Star Wars fireworks show.
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't have any space for those, so yeah, understand that one.
I got hit one time during the Festival of Fantasy Parade when they were shooting off the cannons from the Peter Pan float. A piece of dry ice landed on my hand and it burned.
I'm glad to hear you survived, though. I mean, you have a very furry hand, so perhaps it gave you protection. I want to go to Lauren, though. Lauren, you were talking earlier about sort of the automated systems that they have in place. Folks, what we're watching right now, Spaceship Earth, that's that glowy circle in the middle. And this, of course, is courtesy of Park Pass TV. They're streaming this from the Disney Boardwalk. But Spaceship Earth itself is acting as if the nighttime fireworks are going off. It's doing all of the stuff it does. Lauren, we talked about the automated way that these things are handled. Can you share with the audience again, about 1,000 people out there, why it is that these systems are in place to run no matter what?
Well, it's like anything else. When you have a big show like this there's a lot of moving parts and elements that all have to be acting in concert. So having a computerized system that synchronizes everything simplifies the whole thing, especially if all you have to do is load the pyrotechnics if you want the fireworks show to go off. That's possibly part of the reason why they haven't shut it off as well, because once you shut it down, you've got to bring the system back online. And if everything is timed to the minute, that could be kind of tricky to do. So I suspect that's probably why they let it just run.
Well, here's a question for you guys, because one of the issues with this is that by having the lights on, if there were to be damage, let's say that the winds get up and I think about 2 a.m. is when it's going to be the worst for Orlando. It's what we're hearing. If those winds do get up to 65 miles per hour sustained, if there is damage that's taken to Spaceship Perth, you wouldn't want it to be visible. And which way would you have went, panel, as far as would you have turned it off for the night and said, you know what, we'll deal with the ramifications of having to restart the system, or would you keep it on just as it is right now?
I don't see the problem with keeping it on, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to be stuck in their rooms, especially like what we're seeing right here. Like, if you're from a resort, it gives them something to look at, you know, like it's almost like a beacon in the night. It's I think it might be a comforting sight for some people. I don't think it hurts anybody to have
Also,
it's a hopeful
also
thing,
the opposite, because if things do get bad and you start to see damage accumulate, that gives you an idea of how bad the situation is. And potentially, when they get back into the parks after the storm, it gives you some idea where you need to prioritize making repairs.
It is a good barometer for us, at least on this channel, to know what's going on. And folks, you can see in Fort Myers, it is still looking very, very rough. We've got that live cam going right now, courtesy of Florida Today. And Fort Myers still looking very war zone-esque. And that is because this hurricane is currently a Category 3, completely over land now. Hurricane Milton, the eye is now within the borders of Florida proper and is making its way across. We anticipate that it will make its way through its entirety, all the way across the peninsula as a hurricane, and then it will be a Category 1 as it goes out in the Atlantic. Once it reaches cooler waters then, and it's no longer a threat, it'll be dropping down to a tropical storm, but it will be long gone by that point off into the East Coast. All right, well, let's talk, gentlemen, about the fact that a lot of people did this very strange thing today, and that is they flocked to Disney World. And who flocked to Disney World? Well, a lot of people who were taking refuge from the storm, Floridians. Let's talk about it. This out of Newsweek, it is, it came out today, Why Families Are Flocking to Disney World as Hurricane Milton Approaches. This is by Alice Gibbs. As Hurricane Milton heads towards Florida, many residents are fleeing the state in search of safety. But in an unconventional move, some are going to a place more associated with family vacations than emergency evacuations, Disney World. As images of crowded highways and boarded-up homes flood the news, Annette Devlin of Winter Garden, Florida, and her daughter made their way to the resort. We live about 5 minutes from Disney, she told Newsweek. As a local, we were informed that we would most likely lose power at our residence, and that made things complicated, especially with my daughter's medical condition. Her daughter, who has multiple sclerosis, relies on consistent care and, more critically, reliable electricity for medical equipment. So when it became clear that their home might not be the safest option, Devlin made a strategic choice, Disney World. We arrived here on Tuesday, October 8th, and we were lucky enough to secure a room. Now, she really is lucky in that, because most Disney hotels stopped taking reservations a couple of days ago. She says Disney has been incredibly accommodating. Another odd thing about this is she's going to the Swan, which is not run by Disney whatsoever. I'm a little confused. But anyway, for many, the most magical place on earth has also earned a reputation as one of the safest. It was built to withstand the impact of Florida's weather. And the resort's inland location, its own independent power grid, and a team of dedicated employees make it an ideal place to ride out a storm. All right, so let's address this. And this is where I come to the conclusion that maybe this was not the wisest choice. I think it may have been a better decision for most people to head to Georgia, to South Carolina, to Alabama, to Tennessee, wherever they need to go to find a place of refuge for the next few days. There's this false belief that Disney has its own isolated electrical grid. Guys, what we learned through some of that SIFTOD stuff earlier in the year, I don't think that's true. I don't think Disney is isolated on its own grid, completely separate from the rest. Guys, what's your understanding of this? And do you think that maybe some people had a misconception because Disney's never been this close to the eye of the storm before?
Yeah, that's always the reputation that Disney has, is that it is the safest place during a hurricane. I don't know if that is necessarily true. I know my wife and I were actually trying to find a room there. We couldn't, but honestly, we couldn't find a room anywhere. And I told her, I said, you know, the building we're in is built as safe as any of the hotels that are built around, around us. And we've survived many a storm before that's passed by here. So I think we're just as safe here as anywhere. But yes, that is the reputation. I don't know if it's by word of mouth. I don't know. When I, as a former cast member, when I worked there, they would always tell us, and we probably passed it along to guests, that it was the safest place to be, because they would also try to get as many cast member volunteers as possible to sign up for Ride Out Cruise. Ride Out Cruise, you voluntarily sign up to stay at Disney World. You do not know what location you will be at if you get called into the Ride Out Crew. You could maybe work at a restaurant at a resort and get called to work in the Magic Kingdom. You don't know. You're not, if they call you in, basically what you do is you clock in and you get paid, I think it's time and a half until you clock out, and that's for as long as they need you. So it could be 48 hours, could be 72 hours, could be 36 hours. You'll be paid for when you sleep. You'll be given food. I've had friends that were cast members that had really good luck and ended up in presidential suites overnight, and other ones that ended up in some break room that they had to sleep in. So you just never know. But they definitely tell cast members that, and cast members probably pass it on to guests, and then that's a reputation that's gotten out there. And of course, they've got that electrical thing with the Mickey Mouse head, the hidden Mickey ear. And people think that's the electrical power plant for all of Disney, but actually that supplies Celebration with power. I don't think Disney is isolated in their power grid.
Well, Marvin, what's your thoughts on the likelihood that Orlando, Universal Studios, Disney, etc., that power is maintained for the evening? Are you confident that's going to happen?
Well, as you said that, Pro, I swear on the most holy that the lights in my house just flickered. So I think, there is going to be some major power loss. I think that you could possibly see it in the parks. And if there is, that's going to kind of be a disaster. I've never heard of a major outage like that at Disney, but it's possible that it could happen. And I have too heard throughout the years, there's no better place to be than Disney for a hurricane, because they'll go above and beyond, for you and for your kids and for your family. I have no idea, whether or not that's true or not, the way Ron's saying.
Well, let's bring on someone who may have some insights into this sort of a topic. He better, because he's going to be with us for a while, going into the evening tonight. Folks, it's Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for That Park Place and thatparkplace.com. Jonas, how are you?
Oh, guys, you missed a barn burner of an episode of Agatha. It was the best one I have seen yet. First of all, Doctor Strange shows up, and he does this rap number against and I'll tell you what, it was kind of an East Coast rap versus West Coast rap kind of thing. Puff Daddy was there. And I think we have a new big bad in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, in that case, it's Diddy. Diddy's the new bad.
Yes. Diddy what?
Oh, a lot, apparently. What else is a lot, but in a completely different way, Jonas? Read it for us, Jonas.
Whoa, Staccato DDS gifted 50 WDW Pro memberships.
Love
that.
that.
I don't know what to do. We have said that we're not going to play any celebration clips tonight because of the situation, because people out there may be suffering a loss of their property and even some a loss of their life. There's only one thing I think we can play that is not straying too far into the realm of celebratory, but Staccato, what a wonderful thing. And so many of you out there receiving a green title and getting access to member exclusive content. Here's the best we can do, Staccato. We don't want to play too much celebration, but here you go.
The crab people shall finally reign supreme.
Crab people, crab people. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
No! No!
Now, ascend, my son.
So you play the worst clips that we have?
Oh, that makes me so sad. All right, so let's ask, though, you brought up Agatha, and folks, normally on a Wednesday evening at this time, we're doing the Agatha Agonizing After Party.
If you can call Agatha normal.
Yeah, tonight we're not doing that. But, Lauren, I had a request for you. And, Lauren, you should be getting nervous right now.
I am.
Lauren, as we cover the hurricane, would you be willing to watch the latest episode of Agatha and come back and be with us in 30 minutes and just tell us how bad it was.
You want me to do that?
I think it would be hilarious.
All right, I'll pop out and I'll be back in a bit.
I can do that. I can do that too.
No, Jonas. No, you don't get to get away from here.
No,
fun's just
it's
starting
right
for you.
here. It's under this video file labeled Iron Man.
It can't be. All right, Lauren, we'll see you in just a few. Folks, Lauren will be back, and we'll judge by his face when he re-enters what it is he's just suffered through. So a little mini Agatha party.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you in a minute.
Send me to the background, and I'll be back in a bit.
All right. And Jonas is trying to get away as well. Sorry, Jonas. You don't get to do that. Sorry, Jonas. All right. Jonas, we've sent an invite to someone out there who is a Disney historian. Hopefully he'll see the invite sent to his X account and perhaps be able to hop in here with us. But Jonas, we've been covering the hurricane, and one of the things we've been talking about is apparently a lot of evacuees decided that they were going to try to take shelter at Disney World. And yes, just as anticipated, we do have our Disney historian here. Let's go ahead and welcome him in. Jonas, do you want to do me the honor?
Sure. You might know him well from his times appearing on the WDW Pro channel. He's also the curator and chief content officer of Epcot Legacy, otherwise known as E82, and also JLH Omnimedia. I love it hearing this guy talk about Disney. Joshua Harris, welcome to the channel.
Hello, everyone.
Happy to have you, Josh. And Josh, are you in a safe location? Are you feeling pretty good about the weather at the moment?
I really hate jinxing this, but I'm in probably one of the safest locations in Central Florida. So,
all right, folks, you heard it here first. He's in the very middle of Spaceship Earth. We've got your location. We won't tell the security guards.
He's in the chamber
where
where
my head is
Walt
most of the time, but not there.
Well, Josh, you as a Disney historian, could you give us your thoughts on the number of times that Disney has come this close to the eye of a hurricane? Is this the closest? And what you anticipate will be the results of this? Do you think Disney will fare well with all?
Yeah, they'll be fine. This is only a Category 3 coming through. Keep in mind that anybody who is living on the coast that is severely impacted and everything, I'm not referring to them. My thoughts and prayers, of course, are with them, and it's extraordinarily severe and somewhat deadly for them. That being said, Central Florida is Central Florida. It's in the center of the state, and most of the time, most of the winds that come through, any of the hurricane damage and everything, they've had a lot of land to eat through before, so that the winds actually weaken before they actually get here. So that's one of the dynamics of reason why it is kind of like one of the safest places in Central Florida for that. So there's that's going on. I wanted to touch base on something I was catching us a little bit earlier about why they decided to keep
is that what
the
you
parks open.
reached out about earlier? Yes.
Yeah. So what you want to do is you need to distribute the workload as much as possible inside the parks. Keep this in mind. Also, I'm sorry, I have to disclaim this beforehand. I was with the company for 20 years, and I went through I think about 8 or 9 of the 11 hurricanes that have been through Walt Disney World. And if you are there, you already talked about the people that are staying in the resorts. Those are the ones that they are primarily catering towards at this moment. It's all going to be about the Walt Disney World resorts guests, not the theme park guests, but the resorts guests. And if you were to close down the park for the entire day, that's going to dramatically increase the workload that they have for the resorts, which they cannot really accommodate for that amount of time, nor do they want to. So you need to have something for the guests to be occupied with their time so that they don't end up with a huge scenario where they have the resorts that are inundated the entire time, because it's extraordinarily chaotic. They do try to do as much as they can during a hurricane, but it's not pleasant when you're inside of the resort. So them keeping the parks open, this is just one reason why they would want to do that. But yeah, that's the primary reason why they want to actually take care of people, is just to entertain them, also get them to get their money's worth as well. And they also have the guests that are here We do have our own power grid, and the thing about that is that it's all the reason why it's so robust is not just because it's Disney, but also that it's almost entirely underground, which increases the stability of it overall. So people actually do want to come to Disney resorts from the coast, from everywhere else, to actually avoid some of the severe impacts of that, especially people with like medical equipment that need to have power running all the time. And Disney is very stable for that.
So when you say we've tried to cover the electrical situation within the former Reedy Creek here and now Siftod. I believe that Reedy Creek Energy Services, whatever the official name of that is, that was still a part of Disney for longer than the rest of Reedy Creek. I know that they had brought in solar at some point, and it seems like they're getting more power from Duke than they were in the past. Do you know if they fired up any generators? Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that one. I will say, though, that they were integrated with, it was at the time Power City, and then it became Duke Energy. That happened probably about like, please don't hold me to this, but somewhere around like 10 years ago, to where they weren't an independent power. They do produce their power, but it was not an independent company since like over 10 years ago. So it was fully integrated with everything. I'm not saying it's part of Duke Energy, but nevertheless, they're part of a entire grid. They're not isolated by themselves anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is I've never been at the parks when the power goes out in any significant way, which is, that's probably a good statement about how they handle things on property here. I'm going to reach out to our contacts to see if Disney's fired up any of those generators that were supposedly either shut down or repurposed. Repurposed sounds like they've been not repurposed as in turned into something else, but I'm going to see if one of my contacts can confirm what the power situation is there at the parks.
And
what feed are we watching right now?
So this is Sarasota, Florida, as the eye wall had passed by, and they had a brief time of what would you say, tranquility. So this is a little bit of tranquility in the midst of when the hurricane switches back on to being a ferocious meteorological event. But you can sort of see what it looks like there in one of the parks in Sarasota. We've also been showing you a flooded parking garage that is on the west coast of Florida, not part of Disney. But things have been rather strange. Here's another look at what it looks like when you're in a hurricane and the eye of the hurricane passes over. It says, this is out of from at Ashrafi Sonam. It says, in the eye of Hurricane Milton in downtown Sarasota, a deeply calm, meditative eye, absolutely spectacular. Well, that's one way to think about it. But so very interesting things we're seeing. And again, this is what Sarasota looks like right now, as best as we know. And this will be making its way towards Orlando. It will be down around a Category 2, Category 1. We hope Category 1 as it gets close to Orlando. And we anticipate, by the way, that it will pass just south of Orlando. And so that's good. In a couple of ways, there have been a lot of positives in terms of what could have happened. There was a prediction that this thing could be a worst case scenario, go straight through the Tampa Bay area and then all the way through Orlando. And that's plenty of population to hit. Now we anticipate that it's going to stay just south of that and make a line out of there. Also, by the way, perhaps not as much storm surge going up into Daytona, which would be a very positive thing. Daytona having taken a major hit from storm surge in a prior hurricane a couple of years ago and not yet ready for another one. So that's what we're looking at, folks, right now. And we'll give you what we are seeing on the radar. As you can see, Hurricane Milton is now fully land-based in terms of the eye and made its landfall with Sarasota. We'll be reaching about the area of Disney, perhaps at 3 in the morning, Disney and Universal. And of course, we're so happy as well that we have been getting this tremendous feed out of apologies, folks. We'll get that up on the screen right now. Where's it at? Out of Park Pass TV. That's been doing a great job. And if you out there may wonder, yes, Spaceship Earth, in fact, did do all of its programming for the nighttime show, even though there was no fireworks and even though we don't anticipate there are very many people at Epcot. It just kept running in some sort of crazy dystopian and yet mystifying way. So there you go.
It is. It's not dystopian. That's kind of cool.
Well, it makes you wonder if all humans on Earth suddenly disappeared. How long would Epcot keep running?
Well, keep in mind that you do not want to instill panic. You don't want to alarm people. So they do things like the lighting programs, like the background music. You want to keep those going just to have a calm state with everyone. If you were at the resorts right now, all of their BGM or background music would be playing at this moment. They don't. Well, yeah, they'll be playing until like 10 o'clock is when they typically shut them off, and that's just because people are trying to sleep. So it's to keep up appearances. It's also to keep people calm because they want to have some sort of stability with what's going on.
Now, Josh, in my studio, I don't currently have this screen where I can see close enough, but it looks like Spaceship Earth is going through another packaged lighting show. Can anybody tell which one that is right now, based on the designs that it's doing?
It appears to be Agatha.
No, please, no. That's what Lauren is experiencing right now. Is that the after show package that's playing right now?
I can't tell.
Yeah, and I actually I don't have official information about what they're actually doing right now with it, but it is just the standard shows. I believe 4 shows that they do throughout the evening, and then they have some color patterns that go on interspersed between those. So it's probably just left to go with that. I mean, they're not going to shut that down just because, and I think that another person did talk about that, I think it was Lauren that said about the programming that needs to go, that it takes too long to shut it down than it is to just leave it going.
They call those the beacons of light.
Yeah, they run a bunch of they run a bunch of musical shows on Spaceship Earth throughout the night. Like during Festival of the Arts, it would be Rainbow Connection. During Flower and Garden, they were playing the song from Encanto with the What Else Can I Do? I'm not sure which songs they're playing for this one, but I know that they are probably still doing that. So yeah, that's probably what we're seeing.
And I'm sorry to be self-aggrandizing, but those lights are directly inspired by my work in 2016. So
cool.
So those are actually. So when I say that, so I can say that they're my lights. So.
All right. Well, we shall enjoy Joshua's lights. Now, earlier we were talking about not instilling fear. I want to show people something that was sent my way, and that is there's apparently a great fear that electric vehicles are going to begin exploding all over Florida. And so I want to put that fear to rest. First, we're going to watch the video so that people know what we're talking about. But this is out of Jennifer Coffindaffer. Hope we got that right. And it says, as Hurricane Milton is set to make landfall in Florida, if you own an electric vehicle, please make sure it is not in your garage, or for you in the UK out there, your garage, and is on high ground. A reminder that batteries and salt water do not mix. And you can see here that this is a Nest camera showing us the interior of a garage, which does not have high water. And it's showing us a Model X Tesla. For those of you who don't know, the Model X is a full SUV, full-size SUV that has the falcon wing doors that go out to the side. And we'll watch this, then I'll explain why perhaps we should not be so worried about cars suddenly exploding all over the peninsula. Here we go. All right, there's the car. Oh, we've got flames underneath, but folks, look. See how the tires are not submerged in water? And see how the flames coming out are not making contact with any kind of water. We'll keep going. But there seems to be a lot of fear. Now, there may be some water, some salt water in that garage. Who knows? And, of course, once you light a battery pack on fire the size that a Model X is going to have, you're going to have a lot of fire very quickly. But this is very sensational and very scary to a lot of people to think, oh, no, not only do we have to deal with tornadoes, not only do we have to deal with high winds and huge range, but now, darn it, the Teslas are going to begin blowing up all over the state. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to worry about the Teslas and the Rivians. Those battery packs actually, we'll set this to loop while we talk about it because it's just funny. Those battery packs, at least on the Teslas, come with a special valve that is intended to keep water out of the battery pack. And the only way that you can make that occur, what you're seeing in the video, is if you drive many, many, many times into high water and damage that valve from doing so. And in that event, if the valve fails and high water occurs, you could get a fire once salt water connects with the batteries. But that's going to be a very uncommon thing. It's a spectacularly bad thing if it does happen, but you have to meet some very specific conditions to be able to pull that off. So, folks, don't worry. You're not going to have vehicle bombs all over the Sunshine State tonight. At least we hope so. All right, Jonas, we've got some super chats we need to get to, and then we'll have some hurricane updates. So, and don't forget, folks, as well, poor Lorne Connor is watching Agatha for us at this very moment. He, too, is suffering. Jonas, super chats.
Yep. Ryan for $4.99. My parents, brother, sister, and cousin are in Fort Myers. Said they have strong wind there now. Their house is safe. Still no power loss. God be with them. I used to be in the Naples area for a little while, and of course, Fort Myers not far from there. So good luck to them, and God bless. Aubrey Cron became a YouTube member. I am not able to see everything that's happened on the stream just at this moment, but I want to say thank you very much for coming aboard. Hopefully one of the mods, or maybe if someone here can see that, they can help me out there. The Mum for $1.99. Hello again, the Mum. My cousin stayed currently Cape Coral. Not good. Thank you. So
well, we hope it's not disastrously bad. That would make us very unhappy if it's disastrously bad.
Brian Mack, member for 2. Prayers for all in Florida from Rocket City, North Alabama. Alabama should be safe right now. I know there's some people that evacuated the state in order to head up to Alabama up there. So thank you very much, Brian Mack. By the way, I want to come back to this. Aubrey Cron came in at the profound level. So thank you very much, Aubrey. And then Spoon became a channel member at the potential level. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard, Spoon. Just in that old the tick sort of way. Spoon. Bad News Badgers, member for 13. Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. Thank you very much.
Do best.
Staccato DDS. I think we already got this, but I just want to say thank you again for the 50 memberships. Very generous of you. Butter Biscuit 92 for $2. Jonas tried really hard with that one. Yeah, I didn't know the tone of the stream here, so I didn't know how far to take it. Also, there's really nothing funny about Agatha, so, didn't want to rub it in your eye there. So, Stitch for $5. Pro Staccato DDS requested a Wednesday dance scene. Please make it happen. That would be the Jenna Ortega one, I do believe.
Well, I can tell you this. Staccato sent us an idea for a topic that we should be covering, and it was fantastic. And we do plan to cover it later in the week. And we want to thank Staccato for sending that our way. We've been very successful with videos talking about ratings lately. And we've got another dandy of one that's going to be coming out maybe Saturday. We'll see.
Black Wolf 71. Welcome to Potential, Black Wolf.
Welcome aboard.
And Ritasaurus for $2. Are we sure the Tesla isn't the Pinto 2.0? I can tell you this. I am not a believer in fully electric vehicles, but I got behind the wheel of a Tesla a few months back, and that thing was pretty cool. Pretty cool. So,
all right. Well, I think we may have some breaking news in just a moment. Guys, give me just a second to double check on this. Lou, we haven't heard from you in a while. Your thoughts on everything that's been going on. And we may not hear from Lou for a little while longer.
Lou, you are muted if you're not aware of it, buddy. You still there?
Mode engaged.
No, he's muted on his own. Also, in the meantime here, Flying Blind on a rocket cycle for $5. Spoon, the Tick's battle cry. Nice work, Jonas. Wilton would be pleased. Well, that guy, who's worried about that guy? We're not worried about Wilton. We're worried about Milton.
That's right. All right, folks, we do have that breaking news. We do have it confirmed. We'll go straight to it right now. All right, folks, this one out of Fox News. They've got an update that just came out 5 minutes ago. They've got the lead on this, and so they get the biscuit. More than 1 million people are now without power as Hurricane Milton makes landfall in Florida. It says more than 1 million Floridians were without power late Wednesday as Hurricane Milton made landfall. And yet again, folks, we do have confirmation that Milton hit land as a Category 3, not as a Category 4, which would have been a much worse situation. So in a lot of ways, this supposed storm of the century is coming down just a wee bit to a point that is much better. There was a lot of fear when this was a Category 5. And I don't know if some of you saw the images of what this looked like from the beaches of Cancun as it passed by, but it was gnarly. According to poweroutage.us, which tracks power outages across the country, more than 1.16 million Floridians are without power as of 9:20 p.m. local time. That just about 15 minutes ago, we anticipate that has increased. The power outages were concentrated in the Tampa Bay region, which is home to more than 3.3 million people. Until Wednesday, the area had managed to avoid getting hit directly by a hurricane for over a century. And folks, we do believe that that Tampa Bay has yet again been spared from a direct hit. Sarasota, in fact, has been the one that took the hit. And so we hope everybody in Sarasota is doing well. All right, so that's the news. 1 million now without power. Ron, you've still got power. Marvin, you've still got power. Tell us what are things looking like in Orlando? And by the way, the feed out of Disney, it doesn't look too bad right now. Is that how you guys are feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hear the rain anymore right now outside my window. And it just kind of looks still more like a regular rainy night. The winds haven't really picked up over here yet. I am anticipating that's going to change very soon. I've only really seen one major flash of lightning, and that was earlier while we were live for that game place. So yeah, it's not really heavy where I'm at yet. I don't know about you, Ron.
Here I'm listening out my window right now. The rain has actually calmed down a little bit from what I was filming earlier. But we're in that band cycle, so you can kind of see it there on the radar where the bands will come in and go out, and I think we're in a out cycle, but it's going to get worse over the next few hours before it gets better. And then honestly, by morning, if we retain power here by morning, things will look kind of normal.
Well, I want to show you guys that we're actually doing a pretty darn good job, I think, in terms of our hurricane coverage, because apparently, well, even CNN is struggling in comparison to us. We'll show you what we're talking about, folks. Here's what we have. This is off of CNN, public domain. We declare. Here you go.
No longer accessible. So my camera crew has moved. Actually, they are inside a building right now, which is our first fallback position. We're on the ground floor. We have a second fallback position on the second floor and one on the fourth floor, depending on how the evening goes.
So there's Cooper Anderson. I'm sure he's looking for some depth of puddle he can go stand in. We'll teach him how to do this right.
He's starting to turn red there.
Is starting to turn a little bit red.
I do have a little bit of information. I have contacted a source that says that Disney runs bare minimum as far as energy goes because the parks are closed, and it's pretty much business as usual for power services, and they're just trying to make sure to keep an eye on the plants for any structural damage that might happen. So Disney is not firing up any additional power generation at this time.
Now,
so they're relying on the grid then, I would assume.
Speaking of automated, you never know when you might need a sprinkler. Folks, take a look at this. We've got a report out of Tampa, and just as the hurricane was landing, well, the sprinklers were on, making sure that the grass, the lawn stays green. Sprinklers, making the world be as lush as you need it to be. Good job.
Well, they're pre-programmed, Pro. It takes a lot to to undo them. So yeah.
How dare you, Marvin? How dare you? This is the start of a children's book called The Little Sprinkler That Could.
That's their nighttime spectacular.
If it's anything like my house, the energy it takes is to go through every drawer in your kitchen and your back porch looking for the damn manual on the sprinkler so you know how to reset it. Because we all carefully set it up the first time, completely forget how, and then can't remember when the time comes. Kind of like
Lou, you're saying they lost the manual. They lost the manual.
Yeah.
The only time, guys, I have ever been spat upon by the camel in Adventureland by the magic carpets of Aladdin was in the middle of a downpour.
Yeah.
You know,
hit me right in the head.
That was
and
rain?
I was like, all right.
Camels spit, don't they?
Marvin, you're going to have to explain that for the folks out there who might be watching who have not been to the Magic Kingdom's Adventureland. Real quick, explain
You're right.
that to them.
So there was a camel statue that basically turns its head and spits water at guests. It could be a nice little cool off during a very hot day. Now, I don't know, Josh might be able to confirm this, but I have heard that it is an actual physical cast member that actually hits a button and aims at people. So I'm not 100% sure if that's true.
Who have you made enemies with, Marvin?
Apparently somebody just thought it'd be really funny in the middle of a torrential downpour to hit me in the head with water.
Well, that was our backup plan here if we needed to go with it.
Well, I can tell you that no, that those things are just automated with those, so that is not a thing. But the interesting thing about that is those camels were originally parade vehicles for the Aladdin's Royal Caravan, which was at the Disney MGM Studios when the original film opened in '92. So those are actually 32-year-old parade floats that are right there.
Huh. Well,
I knew it. I knew it.
The person, my friends who took the Keys to the Kingdom tour, apparently, they don't. Yeah, I had a feeling they were wrong about that.
Well, I am being told that we are going to lose Ron. I hope when we say that we're going to lose Ron, that it means that he's just going to step away for the time being, not that Ron is going to step outside and be lost for good. Ron, I hope you're not taking off. You're not doing an unplanned departure off your balcony.
Dear Lord, no, please, no. I've just got to get my family shored up and make sure everything's taken care of here. That's all.
All right. Well, Ron, check in with us later in the night. Let us know you're doing well. And it's looking more and more likely everybody's going to turn out okay on this. Thank goodness this thing seems to be heading south into less populated areas. But Ron, thank you for being here and covering what we've got so far.
Thank you very much, Pro. We'll see you. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Stay safe.
Good night, Ron.
Stay safe.
All right, folks. Now, many of you were not here at the very beginning when we played this. I do want to bring this to everybody so that they can get to hear exactly what happened. Check 1, 2. Are we good, guys? I think I lost audio for a minute.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, folks, we want to show you this because some of you did not get to see it. We were a little bit critical of Disney because they kept their cast members, along with Universal Studios, by the way, in the park today until 2, 3, 4 p.m. And then there was a mandatory government-ordered shelter in place that happened just hours later. So a lot of these employees didn't really have a chance to get home and be safe. But this is what it was like inside the Magic Kingdom today, again, courtesy of Blog Mickey. Here we go.
If there's audio, we can't hear it, Pro.
You said you can't hear that audio?
No,
it's not coming through.
Okay, well, we'll just let it play then silently. But basically, it declares that due to inclement weather, which it mispronounces for some reason, I've never heard the syllable put in the place it puts it, but due to inclement weather, that they would be closing at 2 p.m. And that's the little announcement that played out. Of course, you can see not many people were there today, so thank goodness the guests were smart enough to choose not to be there. And the poor custodian, look over here. The custodian gets it. The custodian's just like, why? Why am I here? Why?
So I don't know how much of this you covered earlier today, but and I haven't checked to see if there's a update on the weather site for the Disney parks. Sorry, Walt Disney World Resort specifically, but it updated to say that they were adding an extra day onto any multi-day tickets. It has been updated now for 8 p.m. So see, all Disney theme parks, including Parking Garage, are currently closed and will remain closed on Thursday, October 10th. Of course, that includes the cancellation of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party tomorrow. For partially used multi-day tickets, ticket expiration dates will be adjusted to expire on October 11th, 2025, meaning if you're going to be staying in the parks, I don't know if you're extending your day out in order to take advantage of these. If you're trying to get out of Orlando, you don't really have time to do that and also come back. I'm trying to look for differences here with Vero Beach. They closed down the Wind and Waves Grill, and also for breakfast on Thursday. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything here that has been closed for Friday. Typhoon Lagoon closed for Thursday. Fantasia Gardens and Fairways Miniature Golf is closed down. Winter Summerland Mini Golf also shut down. By the way, if anybody has not experienced those because you're focused on just the parks, those are delightful. Disney's Blizzard Beach remains closed for refurbishment. I'm trying to see if there's anything left here. I think they're also being pretty lenient on cancellation policies at this moment, but that is, of course, nothing that we can have official confirmation on.
And the dedicated golfers are wishing that they would go ahead and open those courses tomorrow, because depending on the way the wind is blowing, they could have the best drives of their life. But
I'm just picturing Caddyshack with Bill Murray going, "Oh, the heavy stuff's coming down for some time now."
All right, well, let's talk about what it's like to be at Disney during a hurricane. And to do that, we're going to go to Disney Food Blog right now, folks. So here we go with Disney Food Blog. And we lost Joshua for a brief moment. We've got him back here on the panel. Folks, you may find that some of our panelists have some audio issues. They drop momentarily. For those who are in Orlando or in Florida, you can imagine why that might happen. But going to Disney Food Blog to read how things are going if you are a current resident inside the Disney hotels. This by Robin Burks. Disney World prepares for Hurricane Milton, issues new statement to hotel guests. As Hurricane Milton gets closer to landfall, which, by the way, it did, and we covered it as it did. We'll skip that paragraph as a result. Let's see. Let's scroll down to here where we got some news. All right, first up, we got a heads up from Disney Food Blog reader Ford YTA on Instagram about some of the preparations happening at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. There, folks were able to visit Captain Cook's to grab meal kits, which are now available at all Disney World hotels. If you've been paying close attention to this channel, by the way, we've been telling you about these meal kits because they come out every hurricane. Here's a closer look at the meal kits that are available right now. There's a breakfast box, as well as a lunch and dinner box with a choice of sandwich or plant-based bowl. Kids' meals are also available. Prices for each meal box range from $5 to $7, which is reasonable. Perhaps they forgot to update these with all of that inflation that they are so apt to do lately. You can see a breakfast parfait is only $3. Magnificent. Breakfast box, $5. Good job, Disney. Lunch and dinner boxes are $7. Good job again, Disney. And a kid's meal is just $6. You know what? I have to give a little applause here to Disney. That is very good. If these had been the normal prices that you pay at Disney for food, you could double this. And I applaud Disney for not doing so. Good job. The TVs in the hotel rooms also have an updated screen with information about Hurricane Milton. Disney also announced that hotel guests will have access to free Disney movies in the resort hotel rooms. Again, marvelous job, Disney. More of this, please. If you are planning on grabbing some food before the hurricane, note that mobile order arrival windows are filling up fast. This seems to be particularly the case at Disney's value resorts. Disney issued an updated statement on the My Disney Experience website urging people to plan ahead. And here you can see what that looks like exactly with the next arrival at 3.4 to 4 hours away.
Oh,
and that's
wow.
Disney's Art of Animation, again, to pick up a meal kit, not to get real food. Disney World further updated the information on its website. Select dining locations will remain open, although operating hours might be different than normal. Disney also recommends that hotel guests pre-purchase breakfast and lunch for October 10th. That is Thursday. There's also a list of activities available. We'll go ahead and read some of these activities. We don't have to read about the food part. The following activities may be available for you to enjoy at your Disney Resort Hotel. It's talking about on Thursday when all of the parks will be closed, but we are hearing that Disney Springs may attempt to open later in the afternoon. Free Disney movies are now available in the resort hotel room. I guess you get the equivalent of Disney Plus now. Visit the lobby for surprise character visits and more family fun. Check out the arcade for free play starting at 4 p.m. Visit the fitness center during normal operating hours. You know, the bottom one we probably could have left out. The fitness center, the fact that it's running, that's just part of the experience. Lots of preparation work was underway in Disney Springs before its closure today, too. Note that cast members will be working tirelessly preparing for the hurricane ahead of its arrival. So you can see Starbucks was closed, Harley Davidson was closed. I do find this interesting that some of the stores were putting sandbags in Disney Springs. You would think that that might not have been a worry, but apparently it is. Sandbags put out there to make sure that running water did not pour into the store. And this is always interesting to see. This is protocol at Disney parks when a hurricane is coming, but always interesting to show people trash cans stacked up side by side and then shrink wrapped together with cellophane. Always fascinating to see. And then we also have people covering kiosks with tarps, etc. Josh, do you have what? We've lost Josh again. Oh, we've got him back again because that's what we do here. Josh, as we bring you back in, your thoughts on how Disney prepares for a hurricane? Are you privy to some of the things they do to get ready to make sure that they don't have issues with damage, debris, etc.?
Well, yeah, I've done it before, so it's pretty much a standard procedure. You're basically following a script the entire way through. They're just looking to tie down everything that needs to be tied down and remove anything that might take flight in the wrong way. So that's just basically what they do with like the trash cans and all of the. And I saw today that they had tied down one of the food carts that's just outside of Journey into Imagination. Those types of things. That's just they're very standard procedure. It happens, and like everyone's trained for this. Everyone knows exactly what to do in these situations. It used to be a very exotic experience where people were just like, well, "Okay, this is so new. What are we going to do about this? It's awesome." And it's just like, no. Now it's just like, okay, fine. Something's coming in. We know what to do with it. Let's go ahead and let's wrap the trash cans. Let's take care of the food carts. Everything else is going with it. So it's a pretty normal occurrence now because there have been 11 closures now in the parks, so they know what to do with these.
So Josh, some of the things that people might see during a hurricane that are not common or not what they might be prepared for, you would see probably 2 monorails parked in the Contemporary. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, and that's just so that they can keep them there. First of all, they do park. Occasionally there overnight with them, just so that they have them ready to go when they start cycling for the next day. And secondly, it is to go ahead and protect them as well because they don't want flying debris to come up and go through a window of a monorail cab, that sort of thing. So
right, and Josh, we've heard in the past that. Perhaps they move some of the lighter trailers, some of the RVs from Fort Wilderness and park those over in the Magic Kingdom parking lot. Is that accurate?
Yes, and also the Disney Springs parking structures also function as hurricane shelter as well. That's actually the reason why when we were talking about a couple of years ago now, the RCID situations and the building permits and the bonds and everything. The reason why the state decided to foot some of the bill, if not all of it, I'm not completely sure on the actual percentage there, but the reason why the state footed a lot of the bill for those parking structures is because Orange County and other emergency services do use them as cover during inclement weather and any sort of like disaster situation.
Gotcha. And Josh, can you talk a little bit about the utilidors? Are they used at all during hurricanes for any special purposes, those being the tunnels underneath the Magic Kingdom? And also, do they have any kind of flooding issues with the Magic Kingdom? Because I've been there when there have been heavy rains. When there's incredibly heavy rains, like with a hurricane, how does the Magic Kingdom handle that?
Well, yes, you are correct in saying that they have flooding problems there, and even like the lightest of circumstances. So they don't really use the utilidor for almost anything other than what it should be used for normally. Just because of that situation, because it can it can flood just as it can upstairs. So they really don't like to use any of that. Of course, they use it for cover for any cast members that might be there. Although in the past couple of years or so, they have not. They have not done a proper hurricane ride-out crew because what they will do is that because you would sign up for typically a hurricane ride-out crew, which is you would actually ride it out, and there have been many stories about people who have had to sleep inside of the Hall of Presidents, and I mean actually sleep, not just nod off in the middle of the show. And places like that, and also like that happened in Universe of Energy, it happened in Great Movie Ride, it happened in all kinds of different locations, but they actually don't do that anymore, and they do that for the safety of the cast members as well. So what they do is that they secure everything that they possibly can do, and then they send them home, and then they're immediately come back after the storm clears.
So you're saying that the ride out crew for the parks themselves do not actually stay in the parks waiting for the storm to go by?
Correct. Yeah. It's not. They didn't completely abandon the process, but they haven't performed it for years now. So it's functionally abandoned as being a literal ride-out crew.
Gotcha. And folks, we are watching, by the way, as Epcot would typically be closing or closed. At about 10 p.m., we expect things to settle down with the lighting package. We'll see how things play out. But as Josh is talking about, Epcot is basically abandoned. So are the other theme parks. All of this is running in an automated fashion. Josh, who would actually be at the parks in this situation? Would security still be there? And we're not asking that because we want to get behind the scenes at Disney or give anybody a chance. These situations are so rare, we don't think we're risking anything by talking about it. But who would Disney keep in the parks during a hurricane?
They would keep as few people in the parks as possible. That's about what I can say about it. I mean, it would be actually less. There would be because obviously right now they would normally have the third shift cast members that start to come in about now. They typically come in around like 10 o'clock or so. They actually don't change their schedule whenever you're dealing with anybody that's in the backstage areas. Even if a park is open at 6 o'clock or until midnight or whatever it is, they actually don't change any of their maintenance schedules. Those people that would normally be coming in about right now for third shift, those people would not be there. The only exclusion for that would be the hotels, which you just talked about. And you talked about one of my old location. So the Polynesian Village, Aloha. Yeah, they would be, those people would actually still go into work. And actually those are the ones that, like everyone, the spotlight immediately goes to the theme parks because they are closed and because they're the thing that everyone actually goes there for. But when you're talking about this, it's actually the real quote unquote heroes of the situation are the people that are actually working at the resorts there. And I don't say that as a self-aggrandizing thing or anything of that nature. It's just a fact that those people have to be there because it is a 24-hour operation with guests there all the time. They are actually there all the time. So they have to be accommodated for. And that's why you have the characters that come in, and you already talked about all of the different activities that they have for them. That's one of the reasons why they want to keep the parks open as much as possible so that they don't have to do that in any way that for any long amount of time.
Understand. All right, guys, we've got some breaking news. Then we'll bring on another panelist in just a moment, folks. Here we go. Jonas, we appear to be having a technical difficulty with getting some of that going. We'll just go ahead and bring up the update. Folks, here's the update. Actually, I have, Jonas, I've lost control of the system. It's been taken from me.
StreamYard's working a little funky today. There's been a few things I've tried to do. I don't know what you're bringing up, but
it's
while
still
you're
trying to play them. Okay, well, we've got this.
Send it to me.
No, we've got it. It's just heavily delayed. Here's what we've got, folks. Apologies for the Murphy being involved. Hurricane Milton now is officially downgraded to a Category 2 hurricane. This just having hit the Newswire. And Marvin, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Hurricane Milton now officially downgraded to a Category 2 as it is over Florida, completely over land now, the eye of the storm, headed for south of Orlando. but now a Category 2. Now, that still means those winds are going to be very seriously disastrous for structures of weaker integrity. That's not what we think is going to happen at the theme parks. Right now, as time goes on, we're feeling better and better about the safety and security of the theme parks. About 12 hours ago, when it was possible they were going to get directly hit with a Category 3 or a Category 2, and it was headed straight. In fact, one of the lines had it going directly over Walt Disney property. Now that has shifted southward, and so those are looking better. Of course, thoughts and prayers are still with everybody at Sarasota who took a direct hit. We're not saying that things are just peachy keen, but in terms of population damage, less than could have been. Jonas?
No, I'll tell you, my app right now is saying 110 miles per hour wind speeds with 150 miles per hour gusts currently, and it's anticipating that by 2 a.m. Will be downgraded to a Category 1 with 90 per hour wind speeds and 115 mile per hour gusts.
And so what that means, folks, is Orlando, which will be a little bit farther away, the camera you're looking at right now, we can probably anticipate that about 2 in the morning, it's going to be experiencing something like 60-mile-an-hour winds. And if you've ever put your head out the window or watched a dog do so at 60, do that for the entire area, and you can see why that would be really, really something. So we're not saying that everybody's out of the woods just quite yet, but I can tell you, Jonas, somebody who has been through the woods, and we're sorry for him, is Lauren Connor. Lauren, welcome back to the show. How are you? How did you survive it, Lauren?
Well, I'm back. Thanks for sending me off. Had a great time.
You need me to go watch it now?
I thought you were going to watch it. Are you telling me you were here the whole time?
Jonas, welcome back.
Yes. Are you serious?
Okay.
I was the only one that had to watch this thing.
All right, folks. Lauren Connor has watched Agatha. What is this, episode 5? And we normally do an Agatha after party. It's not a successful show. People only tune in to watch us suffer. They don't care about what's in the show. They just enjoy how much it hurt. This show is not making the Nielsen ratings. It's far worse than The Acolyte. It makes Willow look good. Lauren, could you recap what happened for those who don't care, and that's all of us? Recap what happened in Agatha and give us your mini review, and then we'll get back to hurricane coverage. But what did you think tonight?
You did this to me on purpose.
You skipped out and didn't watch the first episodes. Ha ha.
Yeah, I did watch the first episode. I just watched it late because I didn't know that it was showing that day. You're getting back at me for not having watched The Acolyte.
Now you watch
never
this
do
one
that
early.
to you.
No, never. Gosh, what can I say about this episode? It's got the same problem as all the rest of them. It's just boring. There's no character that you care about. Essentially, they have a moment where the Salem 7 show up, and they are creepy. They're doing witch-like things. It's creepy, and they have to get away. And so they go through a ritual where they consecrate and trade some brooms, and they have a flight sequence. They rise over the forest above the road, but the road forces them back down where they come across another house. And they get inside the house. Now it's 80s pajama party themed.
This sounds horrible. I'm so glad we didn't watch it.
It gets worse. The trial in this case involves a Ouija board, and they have to commune with the spirits. There's a fake out scene that goes on way too long that involves Agatha screwing with the other witches.
Wait. In what context are we talking about here?
You have to ask
Leo
nowadays.
Vidal context?
Well, they go through the rules of using the Ouija
messing
board.
with the other witches?
Yeah, they go through the rules of using the Ouija board, and one of the things you're not supposed to do is take your hand off the planchet, because if you do so, you could potentially let a spirit loose. And
Are they going to acknowledge that the Ouija board is like an invention of like Parker Brothers or Milton Bradley? I forget which one.
There is, I don't think they actually mentioned Milton Bradley, but there is kind of a funny thing where after they go through the rules of using this thing, Lilia asks Teen, "What's that written there on the back?" And he flips the instructions over and it says suitable for children 3 and up, which, it is not funny, but is kind of funny. But in any case, during this scene when they're supposedly they start communing with what they think is a spirit. Somebody's moving the planchet. They claim it's Mrs. Hart, and Agatha claims to be possessed by Mrs. Hart for a few minutes. And that scene goes on too long, and then it's revealed that no, you're just screwing with us. But then, of course, they actually do commune with a spirit, and it is Agatha's mother, who initially possesses her. There's another kind of a creepy scene akin to what happened with the demon in the last episode. Eventually, she gets forced out of Agatha's body, and she appears as a ghost. And the trial in this case is that they're supposed to leave Agatha there with her mother, and they're supposed to complete the journey on the road on their own. Agatha doesn't want to leave. She's responsible for the death of her mother and her coven. It is revealed during this episode that after Agatha killed those who were going to burn her at the stake, that she spared their children, and that's who actually the Salem 7 are. They're the children of the witches of her coven that initially tried to burn her in the stake back in the 1600s.
Okay, so we're going to the second to last episode of Agatha for the of WandaVision then for
Yes.
all of that stuff that essentially should have been cut out of the series.
Yes, exactly. In any case, Agatha's kind of panicking about being left alone with her ghostly mother to be tortured, and Alice steps in and tries to defend Agatha. It's her ghostly mother possesses her body again, and Alice's fire powers awaken, and she starts blasting Agatha with fire to force her mother's spirit out of her body. And of course, Agatha then begins absorbing Alice's power and sucking her life force from her. Alice is killed, and this makes all of the witches hate Agatha. And Teen turns on Agatha and says, "Why were you doing this?" It's just at the climax of the thing, Teen is turning on Agatha and wants nothing to do with her. And he says, "So this is what this is. It's power at any cost. I would never do that." And then Agatha kind of smirks at her and says, smirks at him and says, "Are you sure?" And then Teen's powers awaken. And it's kind of unclear what his power is. It looks sort of lightning based, but what he seems to do is possess Jen and Lilia. Their eyes start glowing blue, and they throw Agatha off the road into the marshy stuff where she gets absorbed. And then Teen gets pissed off and waves his hands, and Lilia and Jen go into the marsh as well and are apparently absorbed and appear to be killed as well. Teen is left there. His eyes are kind of glowing, and he appears to have some kind of a crown that has now appeared on his head. There's a couple...
Does it kind of look like a headband?
Like Wicked.
No. There's something that I'm forgetting. I know that there was something... Oh,
this actually sounds more interesting
Aubrey
than I'm
Plaza?
sure the actual
I think you're actually probably right about it being Wiccan, because one of the things that Agatha says before he throws her into the marsh is, "You're so much like your mother." So that's probably what that was about. This is one of Wanda's kids. So, that was the episode. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just, this actually sounds more interesting than most of the episodes we've seen so far.
I don't know. To my mind, this was worse than the last one.
It's funny when you could put something down on paper and it sounds interesting, but then when you get to actually executing it on screen, it can be actually quite boring.
Well, the whole problem is that none of these characters are likable. There's not a one of them that I feel any sympathy for or any kinship with. There's just no sympathetic character for the audience to latch onto. And I would say, again, even though she's kind of background in this episode, Aubrey Plaza still looks like she's the only one that's actually having fun with this thing. So it's just, I just want it to be over. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to talk about. It just feels like you're just wasting my time.
So, Lauren, with that description of the episode, I think, what did you give the last episode? A 2 out of 10? 2.5?
I think I give it a 4 on the last one because I thought it was better.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. Well, all right. So what is this one going to get? Agatha episode 5. We have to rejoin you in suffering through the rest of October. So where does Agatha land for episode 5?
I got to bring it back down to a 2, maybe even a 1.5. I did not like this episode.
All right. 1.5 it is. Folks, that probably means I'm going to give it a negative if I have to watch it, and I will have to watch it to understand what's going on in the next episode. Although I would take a chance on saying that I probably won't understand it any better, even if I do watch it. So there you go, folks. Agatha.
I am glad you picked up on that Wiccan, Jonas, because I missed it. I think I was so disgusted with the episode that I just stopped caring.
Well, there's the proximity and the fact that Marvin told me that it's Wiccan. So,
oh, well, so glad you were able to miss the episode and still get the highlights. It's like
I'm sure I'll watch it. I've got to rewatch. I'm hearing, by the way, we've got some stuff from Film Threat we're going to need to figure out how to cover on the website, by the way, over the next few days. But there's going to be some things we're going to need to catch up on. I'm realizing that in order to understand current Marvel, I'm actually going to have to stomach watching all of the MCU, for lack of a better term, in order to get the full idea of what they're doing here. I don't think they're going to do like Terry Matalas did with Picard season 3 and make it kind of not necessary. Maybe you could just kind of hear the plot points. I think they're probably, Marvel is so inside its own head or someplace else that they are probably going to make it insufferable for anyone who hasn't watched all of the stuff that no one has watched. So,
well, better you than me. I will consider that a fair trade-off if I had to watch this, but you have to watch all of that.
Well, talking about fair trade-offs, let's go back to the hurricane for a little bit, because that is the topic for the eve. And well, folks, if you were hoping that Agatha was going to be interesting, we just put that to bed. 3 more episodes left, so no chance of that, I would say. But Marvin, we are a little bit concerned about Epic Universe, but perhaps less so now than we were before. There was some concern that if the hurricane tracked directly over the top of these places, that you might see a situation where Epic Universe, the construction site, took on a lot of water. There would have to be perhaps a week or more of testing to make sure that everything stayed exactly in place, that construction was not altered in any way. Based on what we're looking at, we might get away with not having that issue arise. Marvin, what are you hearing about Epic Universe, and are you hearing anything about the hurricane as of late in regards to Orlando? Any updates we need to bring to the folks out there?
Just same as the last update, Category 1 by 2 a.m., and that's going to be around the Lakeland, Winter Haven area. So you're looking at about a Category 1, by the time it hits the Epic Universe area, which the construction site should be able to handle Category 1 conditions. So hopefully, if there is any kind of damage or there is any kind of impact to operations that the construction sites are going through, it's not going to be that heavy. It's not going to be as much as we had feared it might be. I don't think you're going to see it push back opening at this point.
We do have a sad update to give people. The tornadoes that we were showing you earlier, and we did so with the gravitas that they deserve. No jokes here on that kind of stuff, folks. We now have confirmation that those tornadoes did result in fatalities. And so that is incredibly sad. But St. Lucie County, the tornadic activity that happened there did result in fatalities. That is our first confirmation of fatalities in the Sunshine State as a result of Hurricane Milton. We're very sad for that.
I hate that.
And send our deepest thoughts and prayers, condolences to the families who lost their loved ones in such a horrific way. So we'll be going to more updates on the hurricane in just a moment. Jonas, do we have any super chats that we need to hit?
Before we do that, just I want to put a little buffer here before we do that. This Disney Scoops guy, which I don't think he's a fan of us, but he did tweet out.
Wait a minute, you're telling me there are people out there who aren't fans?
Yeah, well, they want to be the Scoops guys, and
I've never heard of such, Jonas. I thought we were friendly and fan favorites of all.
Oh, we always try to be friendly to them. I don't know. He's not been a fan of some of our coverage in the past.
I blame this on you somehow. I don't know
think
what
that's
you've done.
probably. You know me. I have that rapier wit here, and sometimes it gets out of hand. But for anyone riding out Hurricane Milton at Walt Disney World, they're selling a PB&J kit for $10 that includes a full jar of peanut butter, a full jar of strawberry jelly. If it's not full, I don't know why they would be selling it, and a full loaf of bread. And it's available at All Star Music Resort and possibly other resort hotels as well. There you go.
I'm sorry. Strawberry
That's
jelly
actually an
Disney?
upgrade. That's actually an upgrade.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Marvin, you don't seem to think it's an upgrade.
These monsters, it's grape jelly or it's nothing. They've gone too far this time, Pro. I will not abide by this.
But the Nutella is extra. I think when Vash and I were looking at how much the peanut butter and jelly is going to cost at the cake bake shop, it would be another $8, and that's only for one peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This you can have a whole loaf of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Well,
yeah, because in past years, I know that they've offered it. They charged that kind of amount for like 4 sandwiches, pre-made, and that was it. So if they're giving you like a full loaf and everything, I'm not going to say that they're saints for doing this, but still, it's just like I'm like, well, that's impressive. That's more than what we gave several years ago. So.
Yeah, and if they were in Tampa,
Jonas,
maybe it would be guava.
Jonas, are you confirming that in Walt Disney World right now, it is indeed peanut butter jelly time?
So
maybe ice cream and cake later.
So this is one of the fascinating things to me. All the people who want to ride it out in a Disney hotel, you will actually have a few people from out of state who try to get down there and be in the hotel rooms to do this. We're talking about the what was the name of the pack they're calling this, which turns out to be a loaf of bread and peanut butter and jelly. What were they calling that?
The peanut butter and jelly sandwich kit.
Okay, so the kit, which is a loaf of bread, peanut butter and jelly. Folks, if that's your idea of a good time, is sitting there and listening to the wind howl and the rain hit the window and pretend that you've got luxury by eating a loaf of bread, I've got better ways for you to spend your time that we just haven't shared yet. Now, on Disney's behalf, I think that's a great thing for Disney to do for the people who are there. And as Josh was saying, better than in the past. Listen, I'm giving kudos to Disney. I don't feel like they are. I feel like they've come down about 50% from their typical prices on these things to help people out. I think that Disney has got this right. That might shock some people out there to their core to hear me say something like that.
Well, if you're trying to feed a family of 4 overnight and you just need a snacky food in the hotel, I think a loaf of bread for $10 is pretty cheap as far as Disney prices go, and they're kind of a captive audience there. You probably don't want to be venturing out. Now, I wanted to put a little distance.
There's also no options at this point. There really isn't. There is no options. There are no restaurants that are open. There's nothing there. I mean, I don't want to sound overly dramatic about it, but like there's either that or you don't eat for the next 8 to 12 hours. So, so it's kind of an obligation.
This is why when I stay at the Grand Floridian, I always take my George Foreman.
I put
you
8
get that
slices
crackling
of bacon
as
on
you
it.
wake up.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Steve.
You set them out.
Those are
overnight.
horrible to clean.
They are. And
well,
you
you'll
gotta
have
make
to
sure
argue
you
with
don't get your
Michael on
foot
that.
stuck in it. Yeah.
I know. Oh, good, well played. We're all on the same page.
Butter Biscuit 92 for $2. Lauren looked like he fought death on his return, which is Lauren, do you want us to spoil something for you on Agatha at this point, or do you want to find out the way that you're supposed to find out?
Well, I already heard kind of what they thought that the identity of Rio is. So if that's what you're talking about, then I already know.
All right, because there's a capital D right there on death. Anyways, Bad News Badger for 100 Danish krone. Get Lauren a good one on the rocks from me.
There you go, Lauren. We're gonna have to get it over there to you somehow. You'll have to give us your preference.
That mead that you had wasn't too bad.
Hey, mead forthcoming.
You know, my co-hosts on the wrestling podcast make fun of me when I drink mead, and now these are my people. Thank you.
It was the drink of the gods for thousands of years.
Yeah, the Vikings drank it. You're gonna tell the Vikings that they're not manly? I don't think you're gonna do that.
I do believe the phrase
of
honeymoon honeymoon actually originates from trying to drink so much mead, as part of it, because it's a honey wine. Anyways, Stitch for $10 for Lorne and for Lorne only. All right.
I
And
think at this
also,
time get through one more, and then we need to talk about the charity stream. Lauren needs to share that with people.
So Cruise 119 for $10 for Lorne Suffering Alone. So that is about $32 right now. That is all specifically for Lorne Suffering.
And
I
by the
think
way,
we've discovered the key to monetizing this channel.
by the way, that seems to confirm that Jonas did not, in fact, watch Agatha with you, Lauren, which was a bit up in the air still somehow.
I was on this stream. What are you talking about?
I was trying to cover for you. I was trying to.
Hey, Lauren. By the way, did you read the story? We got to talk to Timothy Zahn for a little bit.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that, and it was interesting. I love how Zahn is usually pretty diplomatic in how he communicates with people, but it's obvious that he has some opinions. I'm not sure that I agree with him when it comes to Dave Filoni, but I thought it was an interesting story.
Yeah, I had literally 7 minutes left on the last command on Audible right before I talked to him. So I was very close to the end. And by the way, I need my next recommend for another Star Wars audiobook that I have no idea when I'll be in the car again, but
have you read the Bane trilogy?
The Bane trilogy. No, I haven't. What's the first one in that?
That would be Darth Bane, Path of Destruction, if I'm correct, right, Lauren?
All right.
By Drew Carpenter.
What era is that set in?
That
Old
is
Republic.
That is Old Republic.
The Old Republic. Okay.
1,000 years before. It's how the rule of two start with the Sith. Really,
And Marvin, I got really bad idea or a really bad news for you.
What's that?
You know, people love our polls around here. We've been called that poll place before. Different kind of poll, by the way. We've got the best flavor of jelly out there. It's like the Jelly of the Month Club, except we keep on giving. Strawberries winning, and it's not close, Marvin. It's not close.
Now I'm going to throw a wrench into this. Actually, a ripple into it. Have you ever had a strawberry peanut butter and jelly with a stripe of Nutella in it? That's pretty good. It's kind of like a chocolate covered strawberry peanut butter and jelly.
I would never lower myself to such a thing. No.
Snob.
We're getting some serious pushback that we didn't include blueberry jelly or jam. And I don't remember what's the difference in jelly and jam.
Is a thing?
Apparently so, and I love blueberries. I just did not know.
You have to be from
jam. Still has the actual bits of the whole fruit in it, and jelly is totally pureed.
I cannot imagine blueberry with peanut butter.
Okay, so then what is marmalade? What's the difference there?
That's something that I don't eat.
Oh,
yeah,
well, fair
absolutely
enough.
not. None of that.
Marmalade
Get that out
is
of here.
preserved, and it's yeah.
And what then is marshmallow fluff?
No one knows that. But I hear it's got hoof.
Marmalade is from it's a fruit preserve made from the juice and the peel of citrus boiled with sugar and water. It's a different thing.
I almost feel as if you've looked that up. You
You
suddenly went from not having a clue to being Mr. Wikipedia.
I have a little bear in a blue coat next to me who's prodding me to tell the audience.
Oh, I see. Well, you tell Paddington that it'll be okay.
He's from the
All right,
jungles
folks,
of darkest Africa. Yes.
Latest update we have right now is that things are looking a little bit better when it comes to the hurricane in terms of its trajectory towards the parks. However, that said, what you're looking at right now is a feed out of Park Pass TV, and we're so pleased that they have provided this. They've given us permission to show Spaceship Earth from the line of sight from the Disney Boardwalk. It's a great way for us to keep track of how the hurricane is going. Now, saying that it's a bit placid right now, a bit tranquil, that's fine. But folks, we do want to let you know that about 2 a.m, we expect the intensity to pick up dramatically in the Orlando area with sustained winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour, perhaps gusts that are higher. And so things are going to get a little bit more ferocious. We do expect that all of the parks will be closed as announced for all of Thursday. We have not heard if there will be a delayed opening on Friday. We do think at this time that if Disney is successful, they may attempt to reopen Disney Springs late Thursday evening. Of course, those restaurants will be plenty pleased for that to get patrons back in. And some of those hotel guests who have been hunkered down for a while, eating their loaves of bread and strawberry jam, much to the chagrin of Marvin, they'll be ready to yell volcano at Rainforest Cafe. If you don't know what that's about, well, you haven't had the chocolate that they deliver. So, yeah, that could go all well. Of course, the server's probably not looking forward to having to go back to work tomorrow, tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see. Marvin, anything latest on the hurricane?
Marvin is currently checked out and getting himself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh, great. We've
Hopefully
sent him on
with a
another
stripe
jelly
of
quest.
Nutella.
Why did we do this?
Jelly Quest. That should be the name of the first game that we make when we ever get into making apps.
I think it should be a weight loss program, Jelly Quest. Get rid of the gel. All right, well, we are looking right now at Spaceship Earth. And Josh, in your estimation, which of the parks handles hurricanes and heavy weather the best? Is it Animal Kingdom because of when it was built? Or does that have more difficulties because of all the bamboo? Which theme park would you say handles strong winds and rain the best?
Well, I know that Magic Kingdom would be the worst because of the drainage issue. It would, geez, that's kind of hard. There's not, so Animal Kingdom would probably be the second worst just because they have so much foliage over there that it might, even in winds that we're going to get right now, which is only going to be like a Category 1 storm when it finally approaches and everything, they still are going to have a lot of debris from that. So that's going to receive, Animal Kingdom is going to receive a lot of damage for that. To its natural beauty, but yeah, it's a toss-up between the studios and Epcot. I would say Epcot overall, just because of the way in which it's laid out, and the way, and it's a little bit more austere in its architecture and in its landscaping and everything. So it should be more, it should fare better than any other park.
Now, Orlando is going to be under a flash flood warning. And I'm not sure how well that Disney handles flooding issues across the entire resort. Of course, it is approximately 40 square miles, a little bit less now, given that they've annexed some of the land. But nonetheless, there's a lot of land to cover there to talk about which areas are going to handle the water the best. Any thoughts on resorts, Josh? Which resorts, which hotels would you prefer if you were having to ride out a hurricane?
Well, of course, I would choose the Polynesian for it, just because it's more thematically appropriate than anything else. Because the tropical atmosphere and the tropical depression that would be going through and everything, that would be nice. But yeah, that would probably be my number one.
You want to raise your fist against Maui out there in the winds, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm a pretty weird one, actually. I actually enjoy thunderstorms and heavy rain in any situation. So you're probably asking the wrong person here for it. So when anybody comes on with a weather report and they said, "We're sorry, we got bad news. It's going to rain today, but it's going to get better tomorrow. But today's going to be a great day, nice and sunny." I'm like, shut up. So I'm kind of the reverse of most people's persuasion with that. But no, because I think it's actually a very tranquil experience. I have very fond memories of going through Adventureland and torrential downpour and seeking refuge on a porch that used to be part of the Adventureland veranda, and very gorgeous, picturesque, with all the wind going through the trees and the tropical music and everything. I actually enjoy that. So that would be Polynesian all the way for that.
Well, fantastic stuff. I do want to show this. Go ahead, Marvin.
I was going to say, I would probably say the Contemporary or one of the other deluxe resorts that's more contained. The Polynesian has, various buildings. I want to be in a building where I know I can get to the main lobby without having to go outside at all. Also, maybe one of the DVC towers, like over at Coronado or something like that. I think that would be, ideal to not have to actually go outside at any point in time.
See, I'm thinking that for me, I want to be in the Contemporary. I think that's the place to be if I've got to ride out a hurricane. I can put eyes on Magic Kingdom, even if I don't have a room that's facing Magic Kingdom. I've got all the restaurants are in the same building, so I don't have to worry about that. Sure, there's going to be a lot of water in the stairwells. You might hear the winds, but I think the Contemporary is the way to go in a hurricane.
I think I'm going to choose
like
Walt's
Tower 2.
apartment out at Disneyland. That's
Oh, well. A little ways out of the way.
I
All right,
hear
guys,
it's got a hot plate.
Let's read this out of CBS News. We've got an update here that was put out 22 minutes ago. And this is going to give us some idea of what the parks will be facing because whereas the winds will diminish as the storm makes its way across the peninsula, the rain will not. The rain will continue apace. And here's what we've got. Tampa currently has seen 3 to 5 inches of rain per hour. Now, you consider how many hours it's going to rain, and you can see that is a lot of water. Of course, that amount of water, because the storm is going south of Orlando, that's great in terms of the wind damage. It's not great in terms of the rain because those rain bands are northeast, the winds are southeast. So Orlando is going to see something similar to what Tampa is getting right now. Here's what it says. The Tampa metropolitan area was seeing between 3 and 5 inches of rain per hour. Jamie Rome, deputy director of the National Hurricane Center, told CBS News Wednesday night after Hurricane Milton made landfall. And yes, folks, we were here for that right around 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. To put that in context, because you might not be used to hearing those types of numbers, that's 2 and 3 times the normal rain rate or speed that rain would fall from just a traditional thunderstorm. And when rain falls that fast, that hard on an urban area, you almost get an instant flood. It has nowhere to go. You just get this instant flash flooding, and you're seeing that unfold all throughout the Tampa Bay area as we speak. The National Hurricane Center said a flash flood emergency was in effect for the Tampa area at 10 p.m. Eastern. Rome said that the shield of heavy rain would move northeast along the Interstate 4 corridor overnight, also hitting Lakeland and Orlando, just as we said. It is absolutely unsafe to be out of your house and driving in those conditions. Folks, that's why when we show you these feeds of what Orlando looks like right now, we are not telling you to diminish or underestimate what this storm will do in just about 2 hours to 4 hours. Says Rome expected the I-4 corridor to see catastrophic flooding. I want to repeat that for people who don't understand what that means. This storm is headed up I-4 towards the parks, and it is bringing, again, not from somebody who's bombastic, not from somebody who's wanting to gain clicks or clickbait you. This is the head of the Hurricane Center. Catastrophic flooding. And emphasized that Milton would remain a hurricane as it traverses the Florida Peninsula. And you on the Florida East Coast, if you think you're out of the woods, this is a Florida West Coast problem. No, you're going to have hurricane force winds all the way over on the Florida East Coast, Rome said. And you can see those bands right now. And Orlando right there, folks, you can see is just at the edge of it. It's about to get very serious as it arrives in Orlando soon. So we'll go back now to our feed of what it's looking like. And we can see actually that it is picking up now near Epcot. We're looking at Spaceship Earth there, courtesy of Park Pass TV. And the trees are starting to sway. Things are going to be accelerating dramatically over the next few hours. But according to Joshua, things might be okay. The parks might be able to handle this. We shall see. All right. Any commentary, guys, on this idea that there could be catastrophic flooding across Orlando?
That's going to be interesting to see if that happens. Obviously, we got the Seven Seas Lagoon right there, which I believe that's what we're looking at here. I don't know which resort we're looking at.
Seven Seas Lagoon, sir.
No, that is actually Crescent Lake. That all of the Epcot resorts are around Crescent Lake.
Okay, that's why.
This pours into World Showcase Lagoon.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Sorry, I got my geography off by one man-made lagoon difference here.
Jonas, next you'll tell us this is Bay Lake, and that's the end of your career, sir.
No. Bay Lake is the one that's over there on the other side of the Contemporary, right? Anyways, I've forgotten what I was going to say. And Sutton Creek Productions for $2, raspberry jam or nothing. Well, then it would just be a peanut butter sandwich, and that's not very tasty, is it?
At least he didn't say blue raspberry, because that's not real.
And then Jay for 10. You guys reminded me of the Ren and Stimpy episode where they were in a haunted house. They made an open face sandwich with peanut butter, marmalade, fish, eggs, and fish.
Reminds me why I didn't like Ren and Stimpy as a kid.
You
idiot.
That's the thing where they have Paul Rubbish as the designer, correct?
Oh.
And yes, I'm saying his name correctly in my eyes.
Oh. What's a shame is that's one of the more creative things that they've actually ended up doing recently. But I think that says more about the company in general than it does. And I don't know. They've grown on me as quality has diminished.
I prefer a Twinkie and weenie sandwich. No, what's it called? A Twinkie and wiener sandwich. That's what they call it on UHF.
A tweener?
Hey, you'll have to talk with Weird Al about that one.
Samuel Lane for $2. Lauren, have you watched Hocus Pocus?
No, not
really
my thing. Nope.
Well, I can't put a spell on you if you don't watch it.
You would have expected me to watch it? That seems like something
everybody-
that I'd be all over.
No, I think it was the 90s. I don't know what you were doing in the 90s. I figured everybody watched it back then.
I was watching Star Wars. That's what I do.
Hey, now to come back to the Star Wars question, though, Lauren, one of the fascinating things I heard from our reporters who got the chance to talk to Timothy Zahn is that he would not pick out what was his favorite book that he had ever written, which I thought was interesting. It was like choosing between his babies. So I was going to ask you, since he wouldn't tell us which was his favorite, which one is your favorite? What do you think is Timothy Zahn's best work?
Well, I have to be honest that I haven't read all of them, and so that's kind of difficult for me to do in a fair way because I have not finished all of his books. The Thrawn trilogy is always going to have a soft spot in my heart. The first trilogy that he did with Disney was okay, but I was not as enamored with it as his original trilogy. The Hand of Thrawn duology, I'm actually not a huge fan of. But the recent trilogy that he did, which goes back to early Thrawn, when he is first going through Scylla's political caste system and being upraised there, I really enjoyed that series, and so I think that is right up there with the Thrawn trilogy. And so I think he's got a real soft spot for Thrawn, and he's kind of modified Thrawn's character over the years, I think, because he became more of an anti-hero than a villain. I'm kind of curious to see what Marvin thinks of that statement. But I still think that the original Thrawn trilogy is probably the best.
No, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, how can you beat it? I mean, just the way it opens, it's absolutely a brilliant book. I'm trying to think back because it's been so long since I've read any of his books. I mean, Heir to the Empire was probably was probably my favorite.
Now, one of the things that I think is interesting in his later work is that I think he tried to address some of the criticism of Thrawn, in that one of the things that I don't like, that I think a lot of people do like about Thrawn, is his ability to pick out what the strategic blind spots of the enemies that he goes up against based on their artwork is. And that's kind of fluff for the fact that the author knows how everything needs to go and he just writes backwards. And over time, that can get a little irritating when you're reading, when you go, nah, that's just baloney. So the way that he addresses this in the later novels is, one, he kind of explains how, I guess to use today's terms, Thrawn is a little bit neurodivergent, in the sense that he has insights that are made in a non-regular way, but he also has shortcomings in other areas because he views life through a slightly different lens, and that hinders him politically. And I think that was a smart thing to do, because you don't want to have a character that has a great ability without also introducing a flaw. And I think the original Thrawn trilogy made him a little bit too perfect, although this also ties into that later trilogy, because the problem that Thrawn had in that original trilogy was this blind spot of him buying into his own genius, that he missed the fact that if he was wrong in some of the assumptions that he was making, the further that he got out from that wrong assumption, the more wrong his later estimations of how things would go would be, and that's what led to his death. So I think tying that all together was a really smart move.
Let me point something out on the hurricane real quick, and then we'll come back to that discussion. Folks, if you look at that top left camera with the Fort Myers, you'll see why this hurricane is so problematic in a way that we may not fully understand until daylight arrives again. You'll notice that if you recall when we've viewed these cameras in the past, that the Fort Myers camera had the wind blowing in the opposite direction. And you'll see that once it cuts back over. It'll cut back in a few moments to where you can see some trees. The fact that as the hurricane passes through in one direction, the winds are coming from one way, and then as it keeps going, the winds lash in the opposite direction. That's where the damage comes from, because if you have these sustained winds coming at structures, coming at trees, etc., at, let's say, 60 miles per hour, well, that's bad enough. But then they get shoved. Okay, here we go. There we go. So earlier in the show, those trees were being pushed in the absolute opposite direction. Now, those are little trees that we can see. They're not huge palm trees. But you can understand why it would be so difficult for structures and for large vegetation to withstand this when they get pushed one way, very, very wet ground, often in flooded areas, then pushed the completely other direction in soggy terrain. So that's that's what happens. That's why you get a double dose in both directions. All right, let's go back now. Marvin, your thoughts? I think you were going to say something about maybe a hand movement.
Oh, yes. I really liked, speaking of Timothy Zahn stuff, I really enjoy Sleight of Hand. It was not one of his more well-known ones. It's the short story that he wrote in one of my favorite Star Wars books of all time, Tales from Jabba's Palace. And it is the story of Mara Jade infiltrating Jabba the Hutt's palace to kill Luke Skywalker. And it's a fascinating read. I really, really like that one. Tales from Jabba's Palace is just a fantastic book all around. But yeah.
And I would add in there, if you're a fan of the radio dramas, when they did the Return of the Jedi radio drama, which was done much later than the A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, they actually introduced Mara Jade in Jabba's palace as Erica the Dancer. And they also referenced events from Shadows of the Empire. So if you enjoy audio dramas and you haven't listened to them, Return of the Jedi is great because it does bring in some of that EU lore there.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, we are going to be losing Jonas J. Campbell, unfortunately. Jonas has got to get ready for another day of theme park reporting. And Jonas, we're going to have quite a few of our reporters ready to get out there at Disney as soon as it's safe to do so tomorrow to assess any damage, find out what's really going on, when they might reopen, and all of that. But Jonas, we are getting ready to move the Pro Show to a twice weekly affair. The Pro Show Live will be switching from only Tuesdays at noon to now Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon. That will start the last week of October, and you'll be the Wookiee co-pilot for that. But Jonas, you also have a show called That Park Place Live, and the folks are demanding to know where it's going to go. And we, I don't know if you're ready to say, but it's fair to say it won't go away.
There's still been some things moving, and it's been going really well. We've got one more piece that is that's fitting in line here. I still got one more thing. I got one more move that I want to make before I'm ready to announce what's going on with That Park Place. But I think everybody's going to like it when we get
Jonas,
there.
did you hear that we have added 2 guests, 2 panelists who will become regulars on the Pro Show once we go to twice weekly?
I know about one of them for sure. That's now confirmed. Did you announce?
Let me go ahead and announce it then. For those of you watching right now, when we switch to Tuesdays and Thursdays for the Pro Show at noon, that means you'll watch Midnight's Edge, or you'll watch Side Scrollers, whichever is your preferred show. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon. Then come to the Pro Show Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon. We're adding 2 regular panelists, and that is, folks, we're going to have Derek Anderson as a regular panelist on the Pro Show starting in late October. We're also going to have Michelle of Force of Light as a regular panelist now. We've got those agreements in place, and we're looking forward to having them on very often. Of course, our cozy, fuzzy friend over here, Marvin, will continue to be a mainstay. Thank you, Marvin. And Jonas,
thank you very much.
Jonas, you're bolted to the control panel, so you can't go anywhere.
Like a regular Waldorf and Statler, right?
You can't, you old fool. We're bolted to the sea.
Before I go,
that's
though,
that's a cute outro.
Yep. But I'm
that's some deep. There are
I
some
love
deep
their laughs.
An outro? Where?
I hear they're moving the pro show. I wish they'd move it to Pittsburgh.
We've run the host out with terrible, awful Muppet Vision references. Folks, if you've ever wondered, okay, if you come to this channel and you say, Pro and the gang are just negative about Disney. If we were just negative about Disney, could we have possibly pulled off that many ridiculous references? No, I say. Welcome back, Jonas. You're bolted, remember?
Yeah.
Hello.
Jonas. Hello.
Yes.
Please
By the
stand
way,
clear of the
Jacob
exit doors.
Foxfires, member for 14, who is the freaky one, and get the goober for PB&J.
No.
Huh.
Ruins the purity of the two.
Goober? Goober? Is Goober the one that is like
Goober is peanut butter and jelly in the same jar together, like animals.
Interesting.
That's not good.
All right.
That no.
We are not that
Nice,
lazy. As
nice in
people yet.
theory, not in practice.
Have you all tried a peanut butter and mayo sandwich before?
Okay, I think I'm just going to go ahead and go. That's fine.
Jonas,
you're on that one.
Jonas, your beautiful tones must be heard for these super chats. Can you just read the super chats and then go? Is that okay?
Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle for 10. I read the Thrawn trilogy when it came out. I liked it, but did not go nuts over it and haven't read anything else. Lauren's criticism is spot on, but at this point, I do want to reread it. It's kind of like existing in this world for a little while. It's not really pushing them into an area where where it's not like Luke Skywalker is becoming a father or something in at least the first few books here. It's like, what would continue to happen if you just wanted to live in this world for a little while longer? And that was something that was very nice for me after having sat through the Acolyte. So,
well, that, and he gets the characters exactly right. If you want somebody that can write all of these characters' voices, Zahn is your guy.
That's a very good point. And let's see. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say, if I can make a request, can we get Punk Waddle as a mod on the pro show so that I can go, the mod's a penguin, and then you can go, probably took the job for the halibut.
You know what?
That was a long way around for a joke, buddy.
we do have a Lou, by the way, since we're talking about people who throw fish. The Bad News Badger for 100 Danish kroner. My wife nagged me about how I did chores and said that hire a maid would do a better job. Apparently, suggesting hiring a lady of the night for the same reason was the wrong answer. So
there you go.
Good night, everybody. Oh, wait
Jonas.
Here. Space Dave 2000 for 2 Canadian. I truly believe Disney could resolve all its issues by.
I feel like we might get another one.
How? Space Dave, how?
He's left us on the ledge.
Bob Iger is on the edge of his seat right now, waiting to see.
It's a cliffhanger like we've never seen
Getting
before.
Punk Waddle.
Bob Iger does not want to fix Disney. It's actually baked in. He wants to mess it over. So I don't think that he's on the edge of his seat. Maybe other people are.
He definitely doesn't want someone else to come and fix it. I can say that.
You'd think Disney would be the most prepared company in the world for this hurricane, given that the head of their company is a weatherman.
You would think so. All right, well, here's what we've got on the weather, folks. This is out of the Associated Press. More than 1.5 million people in Florida are without power as Hurricane Milton is slamming the poor Sunshine State. It says Hurricane Milton crashed into Florida as a Cat 3. We know that. The cyclone has had maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. We knew that. The National Weather Service said flash flooding was occurring in the Tampa Bay area, including St. Pete, where over 16 inches of rain has fallen thus far. Heavy rains were likely also to cause flooding inland along rivers and lakes as Milton traverses the Florida peninsula as a hurricane, eventually to emerge in the Atlantic Ocean on Thursday. 1.5 million, folks. That's the update. 1.5 million people currently without power. We expect that will grow tremendously as the hurricane makes its way across. And something to watch now is going to be how this storm interacts with the St. John River. We'll see how that plays out in northeast Florida once we get into dawn. We will not be streaming at dawn, folks, but we'll be covering this tomorrow. The Pro Channel will have coverage of the aftermath of the hurricane starting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So we'll get back to that, folks, because we believe in it. Of course, as you can see here on the shared screen with everybody, Fort Myers and Clearwater taking it hard right now. But Epcot, Disney, still not. We don't anticipate that things will get very rough at Disney until about another hour. Around midnight, things should pick up. The worst of it about 2 a.m., and things begin to get better about 4 a.m. Eastern. Of course, now the hurricane, and this has been the case for a while, hurricane in terms of the eye is completely over Florida and will be moving northward at this point and exiting northeast on Florida, perhaps south of Daytona, which is really, really good news. There was a tremendous amount of worry about what this would be like if it went north of Daytona, especially. There could have been some serious problems with the water basin there.
It looks, for what I'm seeing right now, Pro, it looks like it's on track toward Melbourne.
Yes.
From what I just saw is it looks like it just veered a little bit more to, I guess, if it's going straight, it veered a little bit more to the right. So it's kind of moving more toward the Avon Park area right now.
And the folks out there listening who might be in Melbourne would say, well, that's not good for me. But actually, I think that those areas are going to be able to handle this much better than had it headed for Jacksonville. That was going to be a not a good situation whatsoever. So anyway, folks, there's a lot of good. We could have been here doing this show right now and been reporting on absolute catastrophic surge overflowing through the Tampa Bay area and wiping Tampa off the face of Florida. In fact, we've seen that sort of thing before with Hurricane Andrew, and that was my great fear, is that we could be looking at an Andrew situation. But within the last 24 hours, if you were looking for, based on where the hurricane was, where the best possible trajectory could go, it's basically taken that. I mean, the best would be that it doesn't go and hit any land. It just gets out of here, right? Skips between Miami and Cuba and goes on out in the ocean and says bye-bye. But that was never going to happen. So given the parameters that we had, if you said, well, what's the best possible track this thing could take to do the least amount of damage? It's on it right now. And that is a wonderful thing. So gloriously good, we shall say. All right, folks, let's get up some super chats because we've got them right now. Space Dave, in terms of Bob Iger, I got nothing, he says, for 2 Canadian. Poor Dave.
I will say,
all right,
though,
folks,
that
we're going to be wrapping up. Go ahead, Josh.
I will say, though, that just as an overall perspective, Disney's problems are extraordinarily easy to solve. They seem unsurmountable right now because it's controlled by Iger's ideology. But if you just get rid of that, this entire company, this entire empire could be turned around within less than 6 months from now. They just won't do it because of situations that are discussed profusely on them and others.
Yes, and one of the things that we're watching, of course, is Iger going to maintain full control with a CEO who will essentially do his bidding? And if they get somebody like Dana Walden and Iger continues on as CEO emeritus, that's where we get into a problem, because then this company continues on the same trajectory we've had for the past 4 or 5 years. That would be no good. We want Disney to return to the sensible center, the mainstream middle, and hold on to the tenets that Walt first put in place that brings in huge attendance from people who love it. Folks, we're going to be wrapping up in about 7 minutes with our coverage of the hurricane. We appreciate everybody having been here. We would love to go until 2 a.m., but if we did so, well, we would not be able to be forthright with our content tomorrow at 10:30 to cover the aftermath of this. So we're going to have to end this thing at some point. Now, when we do, though, we are going to redirect you to Park Pass TV. So if you are the type of person that you just absolutely want to see what Disney looks like when the strongest forces of wind pass by, well, you set your alarm clock for 2 a.m. Eastern, get back up and turn on this feed that we're going to send you to, and you'll be able to watch it. But commentary is going to end in about 7 minutes. Now, before we end that commentary, though, I do want to go to Lauren. And Lauren, you've been doing a fantastic job going through the extended universe of Star Wars and reading to people what made this franchise so glorious outside of what people know with just George, could you tell people what's coming up on your channel and why they might consider taking a look at your slice of YouTube?
Yeah, I have read several of the novels so far. The one that we're on right now is Shadows of the Empire.
The classic.
Yeah, it is. The reason that I picked this one is that it was the first novel that was able to tell a story that was between the two mainline movies. It was the first novel, if you don't count really early EU, like Splinter of the Mind's Eye, that actually featured Darth Vader as a character. It also has the scene that was originally cut from Return of the Jedi and does appear in the Return of the Jedi radio drama, as we mentioned before, Luke constructing his new lightsaber. So it's a pretty good story. It involves... Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, had its own soundtrack, had a video game. I mean, that is, when you're talking EU, that is the creme de la creme.
Yeah, the whole concept, remember, this was before the prequels came out, and the concept was, what if we did all the promotion for a Star Wars story as if it were a movie and did everything but the movie? So they had action figures, they had posters, they had statues, they had trading cards, they had the soundtrack, as you mentioned, plus the novel. There were model kits. It was an amazing initiative, plus a game that really kind of captured that generation of gamers. So if you're interested, if you're interested in that kind of a story, come on over to my channel and take a listen.
Fantastic, folks. We highly recommend you check out Lauren Connor over on his YouTube channel. He is the preeminent Star Wars person when it comes to understanding what makes all of it click and tick. And unfortunately, well, it's not doing much of either of those lately. However, if you want entertainment, well, you can't do any worse than Tooneytown TV and wrestling if you're looking for anything that is, well, less than Disney. You see, folks, I'm here to tell you that Marvin has taken off and has become the absolute opposite of the House of Mouse. And that means he's the house of, what shall we say, Marvin? Not Louse. Powerhouse.
Powerhouse. Yeah, I like that. The Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have got we're doing at least one video a day over on Tooneytown TV, if not two. Today we were able to with the hurricane, I've only been able to get out one a day for the last couple of days, but tomorrow morning we've got a big one dropping. It's 30 minutes long, almost 30 minutes long, and it is my Joker Foi review. And if you can't tell by the way I pronounce that, that is my thoughts on the movie. But it is going to be a nice big long one. We examine the film, exactly what was wrong with it. We look at the results. We look at whose fault it might be, and then wrap it all up with a big rant about Warner Brothers. But also tomorrow night, as long as I have power, we will be going live at 8 p.m. on Tooneytown TV with Toonie Talk TV. My regular panel hopefully is ready. Lorne Connor is one of those. He is the Mr. Data of our Starship Enterprise bridge crew. We decided. Yeah, that's gonna be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So hope you guys can all join. As long as I have power.
And folks, if you've become a member of this channel during the stream, don't forget that Lauren is also a part of our member-exclusive content. One of our shows we do just for members is The Genre Guys, and I think you'll find that it's a good time checking out great content that was and tends to be not so often anymore.
And I'm actually guest hosting. Remember right, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Marvin's going to be hosting for our one this weekend.
Yeah,
hey, fantastic stuff.
We are taking a trip to Philadelphia to relive a certain scrappy boxing match where a young upstart got a chance at the champ of the world.
We also want to give a big shout out to Joshua for stopping by today. We were not sure we were going to get to have Joshua. Saw him in the audience and said, hey, we got to get him over here. Josh, you're a fantastic Disney historian, perhaps the best there is. Josh, tell the folks out there where they can find your stuff that they just can't get enough of once they find it.
Yeah, so my primary site is epcotlegacy.com, where there are hundreds of customized pieces of artwork that I've created over the years, as well as video restorations, video and film restorations. There's about 55 hours worth of content on there so far as music is concerned. I completed my 40th album within this year. The last one being the Great Movie Ride, the definitive soundtrack for that. And I am on the edge of, I'm actually started previews just a couple of days ago for a project I recently revisited that I did first in 2014, and I'm revisiting it 10 years later. I'll probably just announce it right here. My recreation of a Disney Halloween from 1983. That was from the Disney Channel. It was on there for well over a decade. I have redone it now in full HD, and there's been, and then I've also recreated certain sequences for it, and actually has full restorations of several segments that have never seen the light of day until this moment. And that actually starts for the general public at on October 25th, and it will premiere about a week and a half before that for my local supporters at epcotlegacy.locals.com. And I also have the JLH Omnimedia website, which also has music and insights and different things that I do on that one. I just noticed on my Facebook history and everything not too long ago, actually, that I just released a couple years ago, the 50th anniversary of the Magic Kingdom, because we've been talking about that tonight, which is the box set that Disney never gave us. I was able to go ahead and do that for that one, and that was about 6 hours worth of content on there. A lot of them custom mixes and everything. So there's a lot. There's a lot that I do all the time. So.
All right, folks, make sure you go check out Josh Harris and all of the amazing Disney archiving and content that he maintains, so that we can remember what it once was. All right, it is time for bonus member chat content. So let's get these up on the screen, and here we go. Of course, folks, every time we do a live show, check and see on the community tab if we've got bonus member chats up and ready to go. We do today. By the way, next Pro Show will be Patreon chats. So if you're a Patreon member, get ready for those as well. From Butterbiscuit92, thanks for the laughs. Definitely needed with everything going on. Hail to all, wishing the best for all affected by weather-related issues. Thank you, Butterbiscuit, so kind. From Dustin Cinzanick, everyone in the path of the hurricane, please be safe. I guess this is what I can expect when I move there someday. And I made some comments on X today. I think this will actually change the trajectory of what I call the Great American Exodus. A lot of people moving out of places like California and New York. Florida has been the #1 destination, but some other states have not been far behind. I suspect some of those other states might leapfrog Florida, as some folks now say, well, I'm not too keen on hurricanes. But that said, I do love Florida and understand the appeal. And then we have Sienna Reese says, prayers to everyone in Florida. Stay safe if you didn't get out. Absolutely, 100%. We hope everybody is going to be safe and sound tonight. All right, let's pull up our final super chats, and then we're going to bid you adieu over to Park TV, where they're doing that. Park Pass TV is doing fantastic coverage. But folks, here are our final super chats of the night. From Ryan Griffin, member for 3 months. You'll stay safe tonight. Prayers, absolutely. And to everyone out there as well. Staccato DDS says, Lauren Connor, thank you for your service. Lauren, the folks appreciate you. We can tell. No doubt about it. They know what you have done for us, and it is truly powerful.
We
Hanging
appreciate them
there.
too.
Yeah, Agatha all on your own. That's maybe that should be the song. Not Agatha all along. Agatha all alone. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. Take a look at Fort Myers, though. That camera is going crazy. That storm is picking up. Prayers for everybody out there. Our friends listening in Sarasota, we're thinking of you. Everybody in Orlando, hunker down, stay safe. Hopefully the power stays on. We'll have coverage at 10:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. And folks, you know where to go for all the latest news that should be fun and Disney World content. Don't forget, they're going to have That Park Place live at noon Eastern on That Park Place, the YouTube channel, where they'll be covering all the hurricane stuff as well. Folks, have a dandy of a time. Stay safe. Make the world a better place. If you have a neighbor in need, be there for them. We'll see you real soon. The mainstream media just can't understand how it is we continue to do what we do. They don't realize that we are powered by you, and you are
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
Folks, we've still got decades and decades left in the can. It drives the mainstream mad.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matthew to do is a holy thing?
You see, we're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God.
Now you're gonna put me right back in the joint.
They're not gonna catch us. We're on a mission from God.
So, folks, as we always say as we end each and every show here, and we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Every time they hit him, he stood back up again. So they hit him harder. Still, he got back to his feet. Standing man.